Hello and welcome back to the Goat Cave podcast. Today's guest is a legend in the BMX world who is responsible for pushing the limits and showing what was possible on a bike. It all started in Grants Pass, Oregon, all those years ago, where he would leave home at 19 with the idea of traveling and riding in mind. After a few years of riding for solid bikes, he would be picked up by We the People and stuck with them for the rest of his BMX career. And even picked up a sponsor with Eclat, a sister company of We the People. He would show the world some of the craziest video parts with huge street clips and an amazing style. You could always expect some heavy clips with a lot on the line if he had bailed. His footage in Ride BMX's Insight stood the test of time and is still crazy almost 15 years later. And his We the People Anytime part is no different, filled with incredible clips. After many years of being on top of the game and a lot of injuries, he decided to step back and focus on other things in his life, like his love of motorcycles and also becoming a father. What an honor it is to be ending off 2020 with one of the best guests we've had to date, Chester Blacksmith. Chester, how are you, man?
Oh, man, I'm good. Thank you. That was really nice.
Yeah, no problem, man. I love doing those intros, so I was super stoked to be able to do one for you. Typically, the way we do this on the show is that we go all the way back to when you first started riding. So, tell us about how you got started.
Well, it started in Grants Pass. It had a BMX track. There was a couple kids. I think I was around the 5th grade, so it was probably around 94. And we just, Grants Pass is kind of a BMX town. It really was. Everybody went down to the track at some point in time. Everybody was involved, with the track, when they were kids. And so, it would always just look fun. And when I finally got a bike, what was it? It was a GT Interceptor. So like a 93 GT Interceptor or 94. And I started racing and I never looked back. It was the best. And spent a lot of years at the track, going to different races. I was never very fast, but, when we just kept racing and riding, and pretty soon that, we turned into jumping. And, then I had friends that had videos, freestyle videos and stuff. And that just blew my mind. So we had no skate park, we had no ramps. But we wanted to do it, or I wanted to do it. So there was a skate park that was built, in Talent, Oregon, but it wasn't a full skate park. It was just this, it was this little kidney bowl. And, I would go there on my race bike, and then all the skaters hated it. They hated the BMXers riding there, but we didn't have pegs or anything. And we just like dorky little race kids. But they didn't know that, we were going to order some pegs. So it kind of took off from there. Yeah. And it just kind of progressed. And from there, after racing, it just was all about jumping, all about going to the jumps, going to the trails, getting to that little kidney bowl when we could, because it was 45 minutes away. And then just exploring the town.
So something that I've noticed from doing this show is that a lot of the gnarliest riders from that era all got into riding through racing, right? And I think that nowadays it is definitely not like that. I feel like a lot of kids get into riding because they've seen stuff online of freestyle, or they've seen someone going down the street with it. It's just so interesting that all of those dudes from that era have this crazy style of just go as fast as you can, hit the biggest stuff, and it's all kind of, from racing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why that is. I mean, maybe BMX wasn't so technical back then, unless you're a mini ramp rider, but, I didn't have access to a mini ramp, and bikes were expensive. Like, as soon as I quit racing, my parents quit buying me bikes. Like, I just had to ride my race bikes. As soon as they realized what I was doing, and I started getting hurt, breaking an ankle here or needing some stitches here or there, they didn't tell me I couldn't do it, but they weren't going to support it because it wasn't organized necessarily. My mom would still support it without my dad knowing, maybe a Christmas gift, I get some new Hoffman forks, or she'd ask me what do you want, from dance competition? And I don't know why, people from that era, go that fast or did all those big rails, or, kind of had that influence. But I have no idea, actually. It just kind of is the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. I think what you were saying there about, everything kind of changing and things becoming more technical is so true, because that is, the riding of today. We definitely do have a few heavy hitters that, are kind of a blast from the past. Like last week, we actually had Ratty Matty on the show, and getting to talk to him is like, awesome, because he's kind of one of those riders from that era, but he's doing it now, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always good to see like that the guys that keep that kind of style alive. It's always fun, like when you click on a video but actually, I click on a lot of videos and see so many kids doing the craziest, biggest shit, like where I like my palms start sweating sometimes. You see some kid launch like a 20 stair 360, and you're just like, oh, I know what that kid was going through. Maybe like what was he thinking when he first saw this spot? It's good to see that it's still out there. Kids aren't just hanging out on the ledge at the skate park, but they're actually going out and finding some serious stuff with some serious repercussions, So it's still alive, no doubt about that.
Hell yeah, man. And I think any of those kids that are listening right now would be so stoked to hear that coming from you of all people, So
yeah. I think BMX right now, it's beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And it's not that I'm out of BMX, but I haven't been paying attention to it so deeply like I have in the past. And what I do see is pretty rad. It's pretty freaking cool, man.
That's like pretty, refreshing to hear. We've had guests on the show that kind of, look back at the older era, and even myself, I really enjoy like the 2000s era of BMX, but to hear like a big time pro like yourself come out and say, BMX is just as sick as it was back then, like now, yes. That's awesome to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe it is. I mean, you can get your fill of it. You can watch hours and hours and hours and hours of it, and even if you do watch a video that you weren't, maybe it's not a guy you're really into his style or whatever, you still find something in there. It was like, whoa, that was rad. Like I never would ever thought of that. So it's still there. It's still awesome.
Fuck yeah, man. But yeah, going back to those days in Grants Pass, who were some of the riders that you looked up to? Was it all kind of big time pros, or was it a lot of locals?
In the early days racing, my big hero was Gary Ellis. Steve Veltman was another big one. So racers, and those guys were like, the AA pros of the mid 90s. Those guys were pretty awesome. And it was always cool, like, because if you go to a national, you could actually see them, unlike, I don't know. I don't know really what to compare it to. I mean, you could go to like a football game or something, but you're not going out on the field. You get to go ride the same track they were. So it was like racers and stuff like that. And then it wasn't really necessarily like certain people that were influencing me. It was more like certain scenes. Like in the early days, it was like the FBM scene in the mid to late 90s when we first started getting those videos. It was like, whoa, these guys are nuts. Like they're doing more than just riding. These guys are having a good time and they're just doing so much. And so that like East Coast scene and Northern Ithaca and places like that was pretty influencing. And then the SoCal scene, like Sheep Hills, Joey Garcia, and when Brian Foster was living there, and the Schwinn video when that came out, the Schwinn video was cool because it gave us this whole like insight into like what's going on in Canada with Dave Osato and Jay Miron, and then you have this whole Southern California scene, and some of these guys are living here or there, and then you go to like Pat Robinson and a bunch of other, just Midwest stuff. And so it was kind of like a little mix of everything. It was just kind of like, whoa, I want to ride a vert ramp, or I want to go ride street, or I want to go ride some jumps. So yeah, a lot of that, a lot of like scene was big influences on us just to see what everybody else was doing when those videos came out.
Fuck yeah, man. And back then, videos were really cool to get because it wasn't just, every day on your phone you can just watch something new. It was literally like an event kind of deal whenever you got one.
Yeah.
Same thing with magazines, right?
Yeah, and I always wanted as many videos as I could, but my bike was always a pile of shit, and I couldn't afford it. So, like, I couldn't afford to go to buy like handlebars and a video. It was like either you get the video or you get the handlebars. Choose. But I think everybody has that one friend that always got the videos. So you were like his best buddy, like when you knew when the mail was coming at so-and-so's house, because they always had all the videos. So you would go over there, definitely stay in the night, definitely watching all the videos over and over and over. And so that was always nice. I think everybody has that friend or that kid, or you may even be that guy who had the video collection. And we would always copy them. And so we'd always have like these bootleg copies going around the neighborhood or going around town. And people get mad when you lose their bootleg copy or it breaks or whatever. So yeah, videos are pretty awesome. It's pretty interesting. I know everybody talks about it. Like, us older guys talk about how, you only got videos in magazines, but that's just how it is. And that's how it was.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's so relatable for you guys to talk about it because obviously that's what you grew up with, right? Like I've had some younger dudes on the show and it's really interesting to get their perspective. We had a local kid from around here on and he's only 17, and to hear his perspective on it and how Instagram and everything kind of runs everything, like it's super interesting. Like I know that he was filming for an edit. And then by the end, like the halfway point of filming, he was just like, no, I'm just going to start posting these daily on Instagram. And honestly, I guess that's just kind of where things are going at a certain point.
I mean, to be completely honest, if Instagram was around when I had a little shitty video camera that I stole from my dad, like to film that stuff, I would have done the same thing. Like, there's no way I would have been able to like wait that long to like make a video and put it out if I could get that instant gratification. So it's a lot of instant gratification nowadays. Everybody's getting it. But I understand it. When you're a kid and you do something crazy, you want other people to see it, especially if you recorded it, that it's just natural. Like, and if it would have been the same if we had that when I was growing up, we would have posted all that shit. We wouldn't have waited.
Yeah, exactly. And even me, like I've filmed 2 full lengths and it's fucking hard, man, not to want to post that footage, right? Like holding on to it.
Or even post teasers or anything like that.
Yeah, for my first video, I put out like 4 trailers, because I was so excited to put it out. And then the second one, I put out 1 trailer and it did really well. And I learned that like, less is more in certain cases. But, damn well, the first couple days leading up to the release of that video, I was posting something on Instagram every day for like 2 weeks of just extra clips.
Yeah, and then once the video's out, and then you feel like, oh, I can just post everything up, you just go crazy.
Yeah, pretty much, eh?
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, so anyways, in your early years you rode for Solid Bikes, so what was that like? And that question actually comes in from our friend Dean Dickinson.
Oh, well, before Solid, I used to ride for this little tiny company, and Solid used to make their stuff called Four Bikes, Four. And that was kind of a funny thing because it was not too far from Grants Pass, there's this little town called Talent, Oregon. And they had the skate park. And when they finally finished the whole thing, it was this massive concrete structure. And it's still one of my favorite parks ever. This guy moved into town. And he's like, yeah, I own a BMX company. And I was like, what, really? And so then, he watched me ride for a little bit. And he was like, yeah, dude, you want to ride for 4 bikes? I'm like, sure. And so he had 2 frames. He had one called a Battle Tech. And he had another one called a Sonic. And the Sonic was like his trail frame. I mean, these things are so overbuilt, especially the Battle Tech. Like, what, that plagued like the early 2000s with how overbuilt BMX bikes were then, and tiny bars and all that stuff. But the Sonic was the least overbuilt, and even my dumbass could see that. So I took the Sonic and ended up not too much longer. I ended up moving up north towards Salem and Portland. And then we took a little trip down to Sacramento, and we went with Shad Johnson because Shad was riding for Solid at the time. And we got down there and they're like, "What are you riding?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm on a 4." And they're like, "Dude, we made all those head tubes, or they made something, the frames or the head tubes. I can't remember, but they had a big part in making those frames." And they're like, "That dude owes us money." And I'm like, "Oh shit." Like I don't know anything about that, you know? But we all became pretty good friends with Aaron Huff and everybody down there pretty quickly. And then the 4 bikes thing just kind of fizzled out because, you know, it's just some dude in his garage. And so then when Solid came about, well, no, even before Solid, it was EBCO. If anybody remembers that company, there was another company out of Eugene. And they had some really great ideas frame wise, kind of innovative in a way, but just never got off the ground. So it pretty much stayed local. And then after EBCO went under, Aaron hit me up and they sent me some stuff. And riding for Solid was like, I think I wasn't getting paid. And, you know, I never expected to get paid because, you know, it's basically, he's just making bikes to survive. But that's when I think I was a professional just starting at that point, because Aaron really paved the way for me to really grow and like support me in ways that, you know, that he could afford. And it just got me so stoked to ride, you know, and I'd just do anything they ask. If anything, they needed anything, I would do it. You want me to come to Sacramento? I'll drive down right now. You know, we'll go ride, whatever it is. You know, Aaron paid for my first trip to New York City, first ticket, whatever. But yeah, and those are some of the best years and some of the hardest riding years, or hardest I've ever pushed myself, was when I was riding for Solid.
Hell yeah, man. That's crazy to hear about, you know? And especially the fact that, you know, there was a few other companies in there, and it's funny to hear the stuff about 4, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, it's weird how that works, right? Sometimes people can have these small companies that really blow up and go somewhere, but I think you got to have the right people behind it, right?
Yeah, I think like I think he had like all good intentions, you know, and I know that like after a while, like between 4 and Solid and whatever they had going on, whatever beef or whatever, it got worked out and they were all homies again. But I mean, I remember going into the Solid bathroom and I'm riding for 4 at that time, and I go to take a piss in the toilet and there's a 4 sticker in the toilet under the water. So everybody's pissing on 4, but I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't know if they put that in because they found out I was there, I was on 4, or to like send me a message or something, or if it was there before I even showed up. So like, I had no idea, but all I know is I went to go take a piss and there's a 4 bike sticker in the toilet. I'm like, holy shit. It was crazy.
Oh my God, that's hilarious, eh?
Yeah, he's like definitely had like good intentions and stuff, and it was kind of cool, like when you're kind of starry-eyed and someone wants to give you a frame and bars. You're like, you know, you're a kid, you're gonna be like, I think I was like 17. I was like, hell yeah, you know, yeah, anything, dude, sure, cool.
That's rad, though. Anyways, you know, after a little bit of time at Solid Bikes, you ended up moving over to We the People. And, you know, one of the things about you on We the People was that it is pretty much impossible to find anything about when you joined, online at least, because you've been there for so long. It's not like, you know, they just post something, hey, he's on the team now. Like, that's a, you know, thing that we hear about all the time is people switching teams. But yeah, when did you first get hooked up with We the People?
I think it was in like around this time, so around December or so of 2006. 2006 or maybe 2007. Let's see, who got a hold of me? Brian Tunney got a hold of me because he knew those guys and said, you know, they're looking for somebody, and, you know, you probably get like a little bit of a paycheck and stuff. And I wasn't too sure at first because honestly, like I had friends that had We the Peoples before, like back in the day when they very first started, and their frames broke. So like I already had a bad impression about them. and they're like this European company. And then, you know, I talked to a few people and they were like, no, dude, those guys are solid, and started looking at all their stuff and who's riding for them. Like, you know, it was Clint Miller at the time, and Tobias Vicka, and, you know, Max Geertig, of course, and a few other guys, and Ashley Charles. And I was like, well, these guys are all rad. Like, and then so I talked to Aaron at Solid, and he was like, dude, if they're offering you money, you should do it. I was like, and he's like, they're a cool company. They're no joke. I was like, all right. So yeah, I think it was around 2007, 2006, somewhere in there.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's actually not that long ago. I honestly was thinking maybe like earlier 2000s, you know, like 2002, 2003. But yeah, that's you would have been filming for Insight at that point, right?
Yep, we just started filming for Insight that following summer.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, with We the People, you know, you've spent so many years there. I think that, you know, you had decided to kind of retire, quote unquote, in 2015. I know that that's when you decided to kind of drop off the Eclat Pro team and whatnot. So you were there for a good 10 years, which is a really good pro level, like, you know, lifespan.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are like the cool thing about We the People is, the traveling part of the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, traveling with that's what made it so good there was the traveling, like going to Europe. I'd spend 3 or 4 months in Europe, you know. I'd spend 6 months in Europe, and I would just be hanging out, just riding around, having fun. It was like Neverland over there, and those guys took really good care of me for a long time.
Yeah, you actually had quite a few pro model frames, and obviously when they were doing like bikes and stuff for complete bikes, I believe you had a few complete bikes, but
I didn't know. I had no completes.
Okay, fair enough.
Never had a complete.
Yeah, I feel like We the People didn't actually do too many pro model completes for like people's name on them, you know? Now that I think about it.
I don't think they did. I don't think they did any.
Yeah, now that I think about it.
I don't know if they do now.
I was going to say, when I worked at a bike shop, there definitely wasn't. You know, there are different bikes like the Arcade and then the Versus and a bunch of their other ones. But yeah,
the MV.
Yeah, the NV has always been really good too.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah, you had a pro model frame called the Sleepless. And I was actually around for quite a while. There's a few different colorways of it. And yeah, how much, you know, were you in the design phase of it? Like, did you help out a lot or?
Well, I did a little bit here and there. So I was very clueless on how to design anything. I just wrote, you know, that's kind of how I was. So, but Harry Schmidt, who runs and designs all of that stuff, and when I mean all of that stuff, I'm sure he has some help now, but he's like a mad scientist in a building in Germany creating this stuff. So he's the one that's coming up with like InvestCast dropouts and hydroform tubing and all of these things. And he's showing me this stuff, and I'm like, I have to look up what hydroform tubing is. Harry, I don't even know what this is. And he's like, well, we're going to do this with your bike. Isn't this cool? I'm like, or with your frame. I'm like, yeah, dude, this looks sick. Like, I've never even seen anything like this before. You know, you start looking around, and then it'd been on mountain bike stuff before and things like that. But, you know, he kind of took it to another level in the design side of things. And then he's like, well, what sizes do you want? And so I just told him what sizes I like. I like a 21-inch frame. I like I think like a 14-inch rear end and a head tube angle. I can't remember, like 75 and a quarter, something like that. I don't remember. But that's pretty much it. I just gave him the sizes that I thought I liked, and then he just did like, all right, we'll put this head tube on it. We'll put these gussets. We'll put, you know, do you like a wishbone? No, I don't like a wishbone, or whatever. So that's kind of how it all happened.
Hell yeah, dude. I actually had a We the People cream, the Andrew Jackson frame. And dude, We the People, I gotta say, I gotta give them credit. They've always been so innovative, and they've always been at the front. You know, even when you look at a Clat, right? Like they have, they're coming out with carbon fiber rims or carbon aluminum, I think it is. But
Yeah, dude, they're still pumping out crazy shit all the time. I see it all the time. I follow them, you know. It's like, whoa, dude, why didn't you come up with carbon rims when I was in there, you know, kind of stuff.
you would have been
I
able
wanna
to
run
put
some
them to the
carbon
test.
rims. Yeah, let's put those to the test.
Yeah, I know that everybody is a little unsure about it, but I got to tell you, man, a Clat's not just going to release a product that isn't good. They're going to put that thing through the ringer and make sure that those rims are good.
I mean, you know, they do so much testing in Taiwan. The bill, I've seen some of the bills that they get there from Taiwan and places on just testing products. You know, the machines that they put those on. I'm sure a lot of companies do that. I just know a Claw and We the People and stuff. So I don't know how other people go through what they do, but dude, it's insane. Like the machines they put them on. But then again, that's not a real world scenario either with a kid on a bike. So the only way you're really, truly, truly going to know is putting kids and people on those bikes.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, no matter what, every crash is different. Like even if you were to crash such a similar way, if your wheel is a specific, you know, amount of degrees different than the last time, that can change everything completely. So it is kind of rough. You can't really tell without doing like a team test and whatnot. And I'm sure that they do. So
yeah, I mean, you know, like before Burns got hurt, like they got Sean, you know what I'm saying? So like Sean swears by the tibia cranks. Like up and down. Like he said he'd never run anything ever again. Just don't ever stop making the tibia cranks, you know? And even like at the height of my career, and Sean was, you know, when we would hang out and talk, you know, he'd be like, we would just talk about how great the tibia cranks were. That's what we would do.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, everything's got a breaking point, obviously. You know, everything's gonna break. So
oh yeah, it can only take so much stress.
Yeah, exactly.
Or so much stress, like, you know, continuous stress.
Yeah, just going back on that point that you had made earlier that, you know, before you had got on We the People, you weren't 100% sure. I've cracked a We the People frame, but I've also cracked, you know, 10 other frames from other brands. Everything breaks at some point. It's not really you know, everything's got a breaking point.
I cracked one of my signature frames, you know, and I was like, what? Like, it broke? No, not me on my bike. No, you know, I was like, kind of, you know, I really don't want to believe it, but it happens. It's so, you know, frames are expensive. I get it, you know, and the markup, you know, the margin that whoever's selling you that frame, they're not making any money off those frames. So just be patient with it. If you crack a frame, you know, don't go screaming at the company, you know, maybe just get a different frame, get something else, or do a little research on how things are designed and see what you think might be best. So don't freak out.
Yeah, I have, you know, when I was young and dumb, I made that mistake. I freaked out about it. And honestly, I feel like the biggest moron for ever doing that. But I was an idiot at that point. And I got to tell you guys, if you're listening, if you break something, don't get pissed. Take that as an accomplishment. That means that you are a real rider. You have actually gotten something to the point on where it cannot handle your riding. Take that as a compliment, you know?
Yeah. I remember I entered a King of Dirt contest in Reno. My first dirt jumping contest, and I think probably my last. I was on a Haro Mira that I had took all the paint off of, and I, like, you know, I wasn't into racing anymore. So, but I knew this jumping contest was this King of Dirt was going to happen. So I'm going to go down there, and the jumps were horrible. Like it's as pedal as fast as you can over this bumpy ground into a turn, pedal as fast as you can over more bumpy ground, and hit 2 jumps. And, you know, I did it a few times, and then this one time I just came up short on the second jump and snapped my Haro cranks. And I was all pissed off, you know, because they didn't give me my money back for the contest. I went all the way down to Reno. Then I went over to the Haro booth, and I was like, hey, can you guys do something about this? Can you help me out? And they were just like, no. It's like, what do you want us to do? We don't have any freestyle cranks. You're at a BMX race, you know. I was so mad at them, you know, but it was just me buying shitty mid 90s Haro stuff and not knowing any better, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it happens obviously, right? But yeah, anyways, to go back on a claw here, I always mess it up. I always think that it's a clap, but it's not. It's a claw, right?
Yeah, it's a claw. Yeah, we always had that joke too. Like every trade show, everybody says eclat or eclat or a clat or something. They have some version of it, and we always meant to do a video on how to say it, like do some kind of funny, you know, creative video on how to say it, but we never did it. We just let people just say it wrong. Who cares?
It'd be funny to get like some crazy, you know, language professor to like break it down and really go like letter by letter.
Yeah.
Like go into the history of why it would be said like that, because it comes from Germany and all these different places, right?
Yeah, like it's funny when Burns, like when he would say it, like, you know, jokingly, he would come up with all kinds of funny things. I don't know, just bringing back memories, talking about mispronouncing eclat, eclaw.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyways, you know, I believe you got on a claw right as they kind of started up. Obviously, it's a sister company of We the People, if people don't know that. But yeah, when did you get hooked up with them?
It was probably 2 years into riding for We the People, 1 or 2 years. Actually, I think it was it was the second year. Man, I'm trying to remember, but it was, Harry came to me, said, we're going to launch a new parts company. It's going to be separate from We the People under the same house. You know, and this is what the products look like. And he had all of these products that were designed and not ready to be ridden, but just, you know, examples. And I was just blown away by it. I was like, you want me to ride this? This stuff looks amazing. The colors, the design. I mean, I'm like, I don't even know if I'm good enough to be riding on this stuff, you know? So we hooked my bike up, or I went in Germany, we hooked my bike up with all the parts. And then, it was just kind of set then. And then we were on.
Hell
and then
yeah,
the second rider was Ashley Charles. So it was me and Ashley were the first two guys on the team.
Wow, that's incredible. You were literally there for the stepping stones in the beginning of that company.
Yeah, I had no idea what he was cooking up, what Harry was cooking up. You know, he's always cooking something up, like, and he still is. Like, from what I see, he's still just I don't know. I need to take a vacation or something, dude. He's doing too much designing.
Yeah, I mean, it would be insane to see the stuff that he's designed that didn't make the cut. You know
there's
a
lot of that laying around in the office too. And he'd say, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? And I'd be like, dude, this looks great. And he's like, no, it's shit. I'm like, okay, like, I'll run that, you know, like anybody be happy to run that. No, I don't like it. It's shit. And I'll be like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, here's a question. Just, you know, you might be able to answer this. You might not, and that's okay. So whenever, you know, we see a pro who rides for like a company like We the People, and they also have a sister company that does parts, so a claw.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we recently saw a few years ago, Shadow and Sabrosa kind of take everybody that was riding for other companies and bring them under one house. Now, my thing is, do you get some sort of financial, you know, gain by riding for both companies rather than just riding for one? I think it depends on a case-by-case basis mainly, right? Especially because with Sabrosa and Shadow, it seemed like that definitely had to be the reason, because we saw Mark Brunette leave, I believe it was either Sunday or Odyssey, to go and ride for both companies. We saw Trey leave Cult at the same time. We saw a bunch of those people, but I think it really depends on the company, right?
It depends on the company. Maybe they're trying to tighten their belts in some kind of way, or maybe they want that rider to be more focused on what they're doing in-house rather than like, I'm not sure. That's a really good question. I wouldn't know the answer to that, but you know, every company's different. If they're all doing it, maybe there's got to be some kind of reason why. I was just lucky enough. Like, I never got any other parts sponsor offers, I don't think, because I was just so glued to We the People and Claw that it was like, it just didn't make any sense for me to do anything else, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a good point to really put in there is the fact that, you know, with We the People, before Claw was even around, they were still making incredible parts. They were known for having great products, right? Whereas I think other companies, you know, we see people ride for a frame company and a parts company. That's a very widely done thing. And I wonder if mainly that happens because a certain company is mainly just doing frames and their parts are kind of just like a side thing. Because there's actually, like, you know, when we saw Scavenger, they only made frames. They didn't make parts.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. Like, and that was part of Animal, I believe.
Yeah, because they were all in one house too. Like Animal was helping Scavenger and vice versa. So why not team up together, you know, and kind of make it all like that? I think everybody's kind of going for their own look, you know. Like with Animal and Scavenger, you got, you know, big city, New York style, New Jersey style riding, you know, like with that like low and tech kind of stuff. And but I know, like personally with We the People and Claw, like Harry was designing so much that he wanted to put so much out there because he liked so much different ways of doing things, that he had to start another parts company. You know,
wow.
He wanted to put more out there because he has so many ideas.
Dude, that is so crazy to think about. That guy is literally designing so many products that they have to have two companies to fucking, like, you know, make enough of them, essentially.
Oh, I mean, that's just like, that doesn't include, what else do they got in-house? They got fuse pads, they got radio.
Yep.
We the People, Claw, salt,
yeah.
All the salt products go on, like they're kind of lower end bikes. And there's a few more in there. And then they have the bike shop, they have the People store.
Yep.
And then they have the distribution. I mean, dude, it's the operation nuts. It's insane. It's totally insane. And like Harry's the one at the helm, you know, he's the one driving that ship.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, that's wild. Props to him. Yeah, anyways, going back here, what were a few of your favorite moments on We the People and a Claw?
Oh, geez. I probably need to pull out a photo album. I don't know. I think going to Europe for the first time. We did this trip with Rob Dalecki for a Dig article, and Rob wanted to go to this is after I broke my leg filming for Insight, and then I was all healed up, and so it was like my first kind of big trip doing something, you know. So I think the first time I ever went over there, I was hooked. I was hooked on going to Europe. And we went to Italy, and then we went to Tel Aviv, Israel, and Jerusalem and stuff. And then I flew from Jerusalem to Frankfurt, Germany, and that's where I met all those guys for the first time. And that's like one of the big moments, because that really like opened my eyes to this whole scene in Europe, you know. Because growing up watching like Road Fools Europe was one of my favorite videos. I wore that video out, and you know, to go ride like Dusseldorf and just to go experience that was a big dream come true.
Yeah, that's insane, man. And I love that they were willing to, you know, fly you over, keep you kind of around there and whatnot. Because you had said that you were in there, like in Europe, for like 6 months at a time, half the time.
Yeah, it'd be like three. If it started out the first time it was like 3 months, and then the next year it was like 4 months, and then the next time it was 6 months, and then I think everybody got sick of me because I was kind of a bum. So
fair enough, eh?
Yeah, I'd have to leave. I'd have to leave Cologne for like at least like 3 weeks so everybody could get a break from me, and then I would come back.
Oh man. But anyways, as we were saying earlier, you know, December 2015 comes around, and you know, you decided to kind of step down as pro. So I'm sure a few people would love to hear why, and I can be real with you. I feel like it's probably just a thing where you know, you've already rode for 10 years as a pretty big time pro, like, and that has a lot of weight behind it.
Yeah, it's pretty, my style didn't really help me much, you know, because, and there's a bunch of different reasons, but one of the main reasons was I would go riding and we would be trying to film, and I was kind of sick of filming, you know, because my style wasn't helping me when I land on my face, you know, or like there's sometimes I would try and do things that I didn't want to do. And I just kind of got tired of that. And then, I needed to take a break, and I knew that that break was going to be extended. And a bunch of other things happened before then too. My mom passed away in 2013, and that was a huge deal for me, because that sucked. And then my dad passed away the next year, and then so by 2015 I was just wore out. You know, I lost both my parents. I felt lost, and I couldn't take the risk. I couldn't get my mind right to go do big stunts on a bicycle. And it was kind of sad. And so that's kind of why I really had to step back, because it was either keep pushing yourself, or if I do, I'm taking a huge risk of getting really, really hurt. Cause it's just, the love wasn't there. And if the love wasn't there, you're in for getting hurt. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, through filming and whatnot, it's one of those things that I feel like you have to be 100%, you know, 110 in it and willing to go the distance.
Good, you got to be, if you want it to turn out good, you got to be in it 110%. You know, you can't just half-ass it, especially if you really want to do something innovative, or you really want to do something that's going to wow people, you know, because that's what you're doing. You're filming to show everybody. That's what you're doing. Or, you know, you're filming to help out your sponsors and push products or whatever. But in the end, you know, it's your ass on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do agree with you that, you know, you've got to be in it, or else it's just not going to be right. You're probably going to get hurt. And I mean, no matter what, you know, this is what we do. It happens. We get hurt, obviously. But, you know, a lot of that can come from not being 100% ready or prepared, or really, you know, in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not ready for it, and there's been plenty of times, there's been like winter trips to LA and stuff that I didn't want to do, because I'm like, in the wintertime, I want to hibernate, man. I really do. It's something about being an Oregonian. It gets cold. It's dark all the time, you know, and then all of a sudden you're just jump on an airplane, and now you're in sunny Southern California, and all the rails are perfect and all this stuff's perfect, but you're not ready. You know, you haven't been riding that much. And then you just, you know, then you just go try and do something crazy and you get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And I do agree with you. You know, as a Canadian, it is one of those things where BMX is kind of a 9-month out of the year thing. Like, we have indoor parks, obviously, but I'm not going to an indoor park every day. Like, you know, in the wintertime, I ride maybe 4 times out of 4 months, which isn't good. That's like really bad if you think about it, right? But yeah, it's just one of those things that in the winter, I like to even take a break. And I am definitely not a big time pro or anything.
Yeah, it's. I think like I'm not primed for Southern California riding all year, every day, or not every day, but you know, all year round. So that's kind of always been ingrained in me.
Yeah, there was a winter that I worked at an indoor park, and you know, I worked there literally every single day. And when I wasn't working, I was riding there. So it was kind of a weird thing where for like 2 years, I rode pretty much every day. And that, dude, by the end of those 2 years, I was hurting. I was not like stoked about riding anymore or anything like that. And then after the winter, I was fine. I was super stoked to get back into it.
Exactly. As soon as springtime hits and the just kind of warms up just a little bit, and you've had your break, you're ready to go again. You know, let's go get some stuff done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anyways, since we were kind of mentioning about filming and whatnot, let's get into some of your video parts. So before we go anywhere, I just want to say that, your video parts, like I said in the intro, have stood the test of time. They are incredible still to this day. And the riding that you were able to put in there really does show that you went 110% in on these videos.
Dude, thanks, man. That's awesome. You said that. Yeah, that's funny because when we were filming those parts, it didn't feel like that. I was always just told, like, by really close friends, just ride how you ride, and the rest will come. But I really struggled every time we would go film, like, for those parts. Like, God, this just isn't good enough. This just isn't big enough. And then you get the end result, and everybody be like, dude, that was amazing. And I'd be like, well, that was pretty cool, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't stress out so much.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's just part of being your worst critique, right? Like everybody is their own worst critique, basically.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with editing. Like anytime that I edit a video and put it out, I'm not happy with the end product by the time it gets out there, but everybody loves it. So clearly, I'm doing something right. Same thing with you and your clips and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just like, if I got advice for anybody that's out there trying to film every day, just ride how you ride, and the rest will come, and obviously you want to push yourself and you want to try and progress. You want to learn new things to keep things fresh. But it's just kind of how it goes sometimes with people that they're their biggest critics.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, first of all, I would love to talk about Insight. So your part in Insight was amazing. You really did go all in for it. A lot of crazy, scary clips in there. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about the... Oh my God, so sorry.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, right? Anyways, as I was saying there, can you tell us about the ride cover that you shot well in San Diego filming for that project?
Yeah, that was by fluke. Let's see what happened. There was a few guys that were down in. We were in San Diego, and we just so happened. I think it was a Sunday, because that's the only time you can really ride around LA and San Diego areas is Sundays, Saturday and Sunday. And we just went to this ditch. Someone had wanted to do something. I think Ben Huckey was there, and Dean was there, of course, Dean Dickinson, and he's the one that filmed it. And I just saw this rail, and just thought, well, I think I can hop over to grind that, and then Fudger set up the photo and was like, yeah, man, let's shoot that. And I was like, okay. And then, I just didn't get my back end over a couple times, but I got out of it. The bike almost landed on me once. And then, but yeah, and then I just did it. It was cool. And then we were all just laughing about it.
I think I pulled up the actual photo here. I'm not 100% sure. It would have been 2007, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah, that totally is the photo. The Doi. That is from the actual video. Yeah, that clip is insane, by the way. I'll pull that footage up for everybody in a minute. But yeah, that photo is it's so rad. And what I love about it is that it still kind of hides what you actually were going for. Like, you have to watch the video to find out, right? Like, you can see that it's an overgrind, but where are you going to go? Where are you going to come off of that? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I wanted to grind a little further. Like, when I did it, I wasn't that happy. Like, I wasn't like super stoked, like, oh, that was perfect. Like, but I wanted to grind a little bit further down it because there's kind of a lot more rail left, and there was a lot more bank left. So I just took it because I was like, well, if I probably keep playing with this thing, it might bite me.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely was pretty wild, man. I'm just pulling it up for everybody at the moment. What I love about this clip is the fact that it really shows the kind of rider that you are, like with your spot usage and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So sadly, I cannot play it for you, but yeah.
That's okay. I've seen it.
Yeah, right. You were there. So yeah, this is so nuts, man. Just to see you kind of go over and into that bank is wild.
Yeah, you see how there's more rail after that too.
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of wanted a little more. I just wanted like, just give me like 5 more feet of grind and I'll be super happy. But it turned out, and then that was like my first cover, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that's a huge accomplishment too, you know? Do you actually own that copy of the magazine? I would hope so.
I have it somewhere. It's up in the attic in a box with all the other ones, the other magazines.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I own that one. I might. I'm going to have to take a look after. And
I think, you know what? That cover is a little bit bittersweet because it's like I don't think it's a true ride issue cover. It is in print and everything, but I think it's a buyer's guide.
You might be right.
I think it's a holiday buyer's guide. So it was like, oh, you got the cover of the buyer's guide, you know? So I was just like, motherfucker, I'll take it.
That works out pretty well though. So
yeah, I'm stoked. I can't complain, you know, because they don't make magazines anymore. At least, you know, I got that one ride, you know, so that's pretty cool.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, and then we have another question from Dean here. He was saying, what was it like getting arrested at CAL State Long Beach while filming for Insight?
Dean, you were there, dude. You know what it's like. Yeah, me and Dean went. It was after Christmas break, so it was not a good time to being at any university. You know, schools in full-fledged mode of students. And where I was like, well, let's go check this out. There was some spot we were looking for. I can't remember, something we saw in some video, and ended up this lady. I grinded down this rail, just kind of trying to get warmed up, trying to find something to do. And this lady that wasn't identifying herself as a police officer was screaming at us and told us to sit on the bench and wait. And she went off. She's walked away and started talking to some other person. And I just like whispered to Dean. I was like, dude, what the fuck are we sitting here for, dude? Let's get out of here. And he's like, all right. And so we just jumped on our bikes and took off. And she was screaming and yelling and chasing us on foot. And obviously we're too fast. And we were like dead center of the university. We made it all the way out to the street. And we took the wrong street we had to cross the street from the university. And they're nothing but like cul-de-sacs and those like streets that they're just like a horseshoe. It just brings you right back out to the main road.
Yeah.
And we were parked on a cul-de-sac, but we took a horseshoe, and it kind of put us back. Like we should have stopped and just hid the bikes and walked over another block and then down to the cul-de-sac. But yeah, dude, the cops saw us. They made it to the main road. By the time they saw us, they'd fucking pulled over, and they were pissed. Like, hands in the air. They're, you know, guns out, all that shit. Like serious, like LAPD, like we're gonna kick your ass. And you know, they handcuffed me and threw me in the car. They let Dean go. And then they held me at the jail for like, I don't even know. They took my shoelaces, and then they, you know, I was like, I'm not gonna kill myself. They told me there was Harry had sent me this frame that had a different bottom bracket. And at that time, like the mid 2000s, every company seemed like they had a different bottom bracket. You know, they had Euro bottom brackets, and they had, mids. And I think still like the old school, like just like 5 or 6 different bottom brackets. And Harry came up with a new bottom bracket design. And so it was a frame that was unmarked, and the police were accusing me of my bike being stolen. And prove that your bike's not stolen kind of shit. And I'm like, I'm from Oregon, dude. I don't have to register anything around here. Fuck you. And so then they threw me in the cell. And then like 3 hours later, they let me out. I called Dean. Dean drove like to the wrong police station. Then I wasn't there, and then went back to the university because I was at the university jail. And then, yeah, so that's what it was like. I think that was like the second time I got arrested. I only been arrested twice for riding BMX. So.
There you go. Jeez, man, that's wild. You know,
it was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's funny to me that they literally like guns out, so prepared. I'm like, dude, it's just some people riding. Like,
yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I get it now because you never know who the fuck is who, you know, anymore in America anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like someone could accidentally, shoot me, and that's not cool. So probably don't need a gun on me, but they don't know that.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, man. In Canada, it's so different from that, right? Like when we have security guards coming after us, that's worse than if the police are coming after us. We've literally had cops like see that we're trying to ride a handrail and there's traffic and just stop and like move traffic along for us and then let us go. Like, yeah.
You'll find that too. You'll find that here too sometimes. You get your occasional like cool cop, but yeah, it's most of the time I feel like the police are like they don't want to deal with you. So it's either I think the cops that are going to fuck with you are the rookies that want to write tickets, or that want to have some action because they're bored or something, or they're trying to get good at their job, whatever it may be. And then you got the old cop who just wants you to just get the fuck out of the building area, just leave, please. I don't want to deal with this. If I see you again, then I'll have to do something. And then, then you got your cool cops that are like, stop traffic for you.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
There's like 3 types or maybe a little more.
Yeah. Anyways, you had mentioned that was, one of the times that you've been arrested while riding BMX. We'd love to hear the other time if you don't mind.
In Ashland has a skate park, Ashland, Oregon. And they put this brand new wooden bench right next to one of these little like kind of roller quarter pipe things, and so it was the perfect bench to do tricks on top of, right? It's a sub box.
Yeah, so
they basically made me a sub box with this bench, and I was riding it. I think it wasn't it wasn't long ways, it was kind of short ways, and so I was trying to do toothpick stall on it, and then I ended up breaking the bench, like snapping a board out of the table part of it. And then ended up, the skateboarders called the cops on me.
Wow.
Yeah, they fucking hated BMX riders.
Jesus.
And they were pissed. They just wanted an excuse to get us out of there. And so then when the cops showed up, they arrested me for vandalism and then fingerprinted me. And my dad wasn't even pissed off. He was more pissed off that they got my fingerprints. He's like, they got your goddamn fingerprints now. Like you can't ever fuck up. Like
that's so true.
So yeah, that was the first time, and then the University of Long Beach was the second time.
Oh my God, man, that's ridiculous. It's
the skaters called the cops on me.
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times in the show about skaters kind of gatekeeping skate parks and DIY stuff. And one thing that I'll bring up, and then we'll come back to Insight, is the fact that you're a local at Burnside, and you've rode Burnside for close to 10 years at least, I would say. And we had Dean on the show a little while back, and we talked about Burnside. But for anybody that doesn't know, Burnside is one of the biggest DIY parks in the world, I would say, and it's one of the oldest.
It's probably the oldest.
Yeah, incredible park,
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever had any issues with skaters kind of gatekeeping Burnside?
No, the kind of the rule of thumb is you go in the morning.
Yeah.
There's usually somebody sleeping there. I mean, it's changed so much over the years. It just turned 30 years old.
Yeah, so, I saw that.
And so it's, there's been ups and downs. Burnside isn't for everybody. It's not a smooth skate park. It's a very rough skate park. And I don't even know what it would be like to try and actually ride a skateboard on it, because it's rough on a BMX bike.
Yeah.
And it's very sharp transitions. It's, but it is probably my absolute favorite park in the entire world. I love Burnside because I've always been kind of a morning guy. Wake up in the morning, get some coffee, cruise down to the park, and just go ride, and that's how you start your day. Then you can kind of figure out what you're going to do for the rest of the day. And if you fuck off the rest of the day, at least you went and rode. So, or if it's going to rain, because sometimes it's dry in the morning, you go down, ride in the morning, then it's going to rain the rest of the day. So yeah, Burnside is my absolute favorite park, and it's definitely one of the main reasons why I never moved away from Portland was because of that park.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole community there. It's any DIY park like that. There's a lot of people that put in a lot of work at those places.
They do. And I've had a few incident, like, I've had dudes like throw shit at me and stuff, but I just tell them fuck off, dude. It's 9 in the morning. Why do you want to have a fight right now? Because
Yeah.
I'm on a bike. You know what I mean? Like and they all know that the pegs aren't doing anything to their coping that's 30 years old. Because if
Yeah.
it had been, it'd be destroyed by now, right?
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
it's mellowed out so much. And Dean is definitely, and a lot of guys, a lot of people, especially a lot of BMX riders, have helped out cleaning the park. Go down, you mop up, sweep up, clean up the fucking garbage that the homeless skateboarder in the bowl is left behind. And you just kind of do your part. And we've had big fundraisers and donated money, and so no one can say shit anymore. But in the early days, yes, there are some crazy stories. I don't have that many crazy stories as far as like having confrontations with people. I've had a few that have been minor. I just go down there and just ride. And if anybody says shit to me, I just tell them fuck off.
Yeah, that's essentially all you can do, right? Like, there's always going to be people like that, and it's unfortunate.
I'll come back in the morning. I'll just be here tomorrow morning. And when they see you coming down 4, 5, 6 days a week, what the fuck are they gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, it is one of those things where Burnside is not owned by anybody. At this point, it is a city skate park that was built by the skaters. Nobody really owns that land. And yeah, I think it's important that people kind of realize that, it's for everybody, even if skaters had started it. And something that I was going to mention is on your postcard for Burnside video, there's a few comments on the YouTube channel of just skaters being like, oh, you're a bike, you shouldn't be there, you shouldn't be riding pegs there, you're gonna break the stuff. And literally everybody underneath is just saying the same shit. They're like, fuck off, he clearly hasn't broken anything, he's a local there. Like, it's always just people that don't know any better, right?
Yeah, it's probably dudes, keyboard warriors that have never been to Burnside.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they want to come down to Burnside and tell the bikers to leave, you can go ahead and try. Because we're still there. We've been there since it started, and not to disrespect the skateboarders by any means. They're the ones that built it, right? Like I personally have not shoveled one shovel load of concrete and built anything there. But at the same time, if after all these years of getting shit talked to us and the like quote unquote abuse, I guess you could say, of being a bike there, why the fuck would I want to help you anyway?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, so like but things have calmed down there. It's nowhere near what it was like in the mid 90s. When I only went there, my first time going there was 98. And obviously there's a whole history of BMX before I ever went there. But yeah, I've been going there since 98. I've had minimal problems. And, if something does come up, it's usually never too serious. And you can just, tell somebody to just where to put it.
Yeah, my favorite part is when people get pissed at Dean. I'm like, that dude literally held, a whole thing for his birthday where he would raise money for that skate park. Like,
yeah, he did a lot there.
Yeah.
I don't even think Dean really actually likes to ride Burnside. I don't know from what I gauge, but Dean he loves BMX so much, and he just wants such a strong community of BMX and skateboarding that he's willing to like go to these great lengths to hold these fundraisers and do this kind of stuff, because he really loves doing it and he's really good at it. So, that's Dean's thing, even if it's not his favorite skate park, which I don't think it is, but that it just kind of shows, Dean's really, he's in it for life for sure.
Dude, Dean's favorite skate park is in the back of someone's backyard, fucking underground. It's a pool.
Dean's, yeah, it's some pool, right? Yeah, he's a pool hound for sure.
Yeah,
don't forget that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, while we're on the topic of Burnside, there's a old video of you and Justin Inman riding it back in 2003 from the Decent video, and these clips are crazy still. Like, there's a clip of you going up and doing like a wall slap on the vert wall in the like, I guess above the vert wall in the spine bowl, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I think that one might have been Jay. I think that would have been
Actually,
Justin.
oh man, I totally thought it was
Yeah.
you.
Well, no, you should be able to tell the difference between me and Jay because Jay has good style or has good style, and I did not. They did. We didn't even know that we were doing like a split section. It's just the guys that did the video were like they just made it like that, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe they had just enough clips from each of us. But yeah, I mean Jay's style like at Burnside, it was like light years ahead of whatever I was doing down at Burnside at that time. So I mean he could just go down. He just makes it look like he's riding a big set of trails. And here I am tinker tonkering and getting yelled at by the skateboarders for using pegs, you know? So
fair enough. I thought that was you for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah. Anyways, just to go back on, the insight video here. So there's a clip of you doing this tree ride. It's kind of your quote unquote ender, where you go up this tree and then drop through like the Y where it connects at the top. So
yeah.
One thing that I love in BMX is tree rides, and it's sad because we haven't seen too many of them in the past couple years, right? Like back in the early 2000s, maybe late 2010s, we had a lot of clips coming from you, Mike Aiken, Brian Yeagle, and so many other guys of just riding these crazy tree setups. But how did you kind of find this spot? Was this something that you looked at for a while? And did you think about doing any other trick on it?
So we were in California, and after I got arrested, I had to go home. And then when I came, I had to go back down because I had court because they actually didn't give me a ticket. They gave me criminal charges. They pressed charges against me for evading the police. So Ride paid for my ticket to go down. We were with Jeff Z, and I can't remember where the hell that tree was exactly. I don't know if it was in Long Beach. I'm not 100% sure, but nevertheless, it just was one of those days. Anytime you see any footage of me in California, it just so happens that we just rolled up onto something. I never know what I'm looking for. So, and all I wanted to do was just ride up it and just do a big tuck out of it, like just kind of get like a big tuck, something to look good way up in the tree. And I tried it like 4 or 5 times. And the drop was so big and riding up the trunk of the tree was slowing me down so much that I couldn't get the distance out of the speed I was putting into it. So I had ended up just doing that, just like this crazy, like rode up the tree, just hung on for dear life, landed, and then my feet kind of bounced up off the pedals. And then at the end, you can hear me say, "Oh, it was so stupid." Because it's not what I wanted to do, but people seem to love it. And I was just like, okay, whatever, but it's not what I was trying to do. I just wanted to do a big tuck and like make it look cool and stylish and awesome. But I guess it still did look cool or whatever, but that's not what I was going for really. And it ended up being my ender because I had broke my leg.
Yeah, exactly. There's the clip after that is you doing kind of a run up to the wall ride and actually getting on the wall. But before we go to that, the tree ride, I love it, man. I thought that was such a great clip. And it sucks that you didn't get exactly what you wanted on it, but still such a rad clip in my mind.
Yeah, it turned out, like I always like sometimes that would happen to me. I'd be so bummed out, like that's not what I really wanted to do. But then like, I don't know, I guess I just get lucky a lot. And it just like, it worked out like, well, that's my ender. Oh, I guess that works. That's pretty cool, and Ryan Navazio did a good job with that whole thing in my situation because, when I did break my leg, I didn't have a lot of clips and Dean had some clips because I was been filming with Dean. And the whole section worked out pretty good. Yeah,
exactly. It was an amazing section. But yeah, that moves us on to the wall ride. So, I'm just going to say this right now. Prepping for this podcast, I had to watch that clip a couple times, and the whole clip is not in the actual video. The clip of you breaking your leg is not in the video. It ends with you.
and that's good.
Absolutely, that is perfect. The way that the way that I guess they edit it was perfect, because it's you trying it and then you not making it, and then your second attempt would have been the one that you got hurt on. But instead, it ends with you just kind of walking away in crutches. But yeah, anyways, you can actually find the footage online. It was on the TV show Scarred, where you're kind of talking about the crash and whatnot. And holy fuck, dude, that has got to be one of the worst leg breaks I have ever seen in BMX. It is so haunting. I had to watch that a couple times just to, come up with questions for it. And I stopped watching. I just started looking away and listening to what you were saying.
Yeah, you got to mute it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not going to play the footage just because I don't think anybody would want that. But if you do want to see that, you can find it online. I am telling you right now, fucking, you're warned. Like, it is gruesome. Yeah, so anyways, why don't you just walk us through that day and then tell us kind of what happens after the camera is off, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Dean and I, we were there like a week before that, and the one where I land on the wall and I jump off and I'm okay. I crash, but I'm okay. That was like the week before, and I was like, fuck, I got to get that clip, dude. That's some serious shit. And the next weekend we were out riding. We went to a couple spots, and I was like, in my head, I thought like, I need to push this harder. Like, what are we going to get done today? And I did this, like, there's like this bank to wall over a rail. And I did that wall ride that day. And Shad was there. He was like, dude, that was sick, man. Call it a day. I was like, no, dude, let's fucking get downtown. Let's go do that. And he's like, all right. And so, we cruised down there, and dude, right out of the gate, everybody was set up, and I fucking went for it. And I landed on the wall. And then I went too fast, because maybe I lost like my bounce back, when you hit like a real, something solid, you're on a wall ride, you kind of don't want to hit it too hard, but you don't want to hit it too light. I think I hit it too hard, and I lost like my bounce back, which at that point I was trying to bail, but I kind of held on, with my right foot was still on the pedal. My left foot came off, and then I was that high up, and that was like this weird dock material. So it was real grippy. So like the force of my foot landing and then not moving, because the ground is really grippy, it just snapped my leg. And then, yeah, dude, you can watch it if you want to, but I don't suggest it. And then after that, it was just like, when you break a limb like that, you're just like, you go into shock for a minute. You're like, what the fuck? Like you just realize like your whole body gets super hot, and you realize like, I can't fucking move. I can't do anything. I'm in big trouble. And then all these other random thoughts start coming in your head. What the fuck am I going to do? Should we load my ass in a truck, or should we call an ambulance? I remember Shad asking me, do you want me to call an ambulance right now? I was like, yeah, we probably should. And so, it was like real chaotic. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. Then they shipped my ass to the hospital and straightened me out. Had surgery, had a rod put through my leg and 4 screws through my tibia, broke tib and fib, and had a compound fracture. So the bone came out of my leg. And then it was like, fuck, it was like 9 months of recovery, which isn't that bad as far as like how worse other injuries can be,
Yeah, it's honestly, that had to be fucking traumatic, because just watching it, it's like, I watched it, I think maybe twice, and I was like, nope, that's it. I'm not watching any more of this. Like, it's horrific, dude. The way that the leg breaks is like just so fucked, Yeah, it was not good. The whole thing, like,
I wish I didn't have to go through it, but I learned some valuable lessons. You kind of learn when you screw up, you learn lessons, and you just kind of pick yourself back up and get back on the bike if you want to, or if you don't, find something else. But yeah, you just it just makes you a little bit stronger in a way because it changes your perspective.
Yeah. So, to go off of that, obviously you decided to go back and get back on the bike and still ride. And was it your plan to try and come back better than you were before?
Yes, it was my plan to come back and pick up right where I left off. And at the time, I didn't know if I was going to come back better than before. So that was all kind of up in the air. Like the doctors were saying, you probably shouldn't be riding again, or doing what you're doing, or at least tone it down a little bit. And so I had all those questions in my mind. And then eventually, after I got better, I went through all my physical therapy and I was pedaling a road bike for a long time. Then I started pedaling, my BMX, and then you just kind of slowly start working yourself back up. You work your confidence back up, and then the next thing you're right back where you started. You're jumping down crazy shit.
Yeah, that's fucking sick that you managed to come back from that. And I think the BMX has really made a lot of the people that get bad injuries kind of power through and get back into it. I think at the end of the day, the positive that you get from BMX and the things that it gives you really outweigh the negative.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the community, like you have a strong community. So you have all your friends are coming to the hospital visiting you, you're getting calls, like, a lot of people, it's just the community itself. It's a good thing to be a part of. And it really kind of keeps you strong when you're down. So that's kind of the cool thing about it. It's not really like anything else.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just to kind of do one more thing on this crash and we'll move on. But like I was saying earlier, the full thing where you talk about it and they show the full clip was actually on the TV show Scarred. So how did that come along? Because back in the late 2010s, or I guess the late 2000s, early 2010s, that was kind of a bigger show, and there was a few different BMX guys on there. You, of course, and then I believe it was Alex Liv with his famous crash. And yeah, just tell us how that kind of came about.
Well, in that day, there was no GoFundMe. I should have started one somehow, And,
Yeah.
and none of us have health insurance, because, we're just trying to ride bikes for a living. No one, you don't have health insurance in America if that's how you're trying to live your life, unless you got like a ton of money or something. I don't know. But someone, I think Navaz, had mentioned something about the show, and I was in the hospital, drugged up, and was like, fuck, dude, like, what do you think? He's like, well, dude, they might pay you like pretty good, help you on your medical bills and shit. And I'm like, all right, let's try it, see what they say. And they, I think somehow he got in a hold of producers, and I don't know how that whole chain of command works, but regardless, it ended up MTV called me, and they were like, or I think they emailed me. Yeah, it was just through email. And they were like, yeah, let's, we really like your clip and this and that. And, would you be willing to go on the show? And we're going to pay you, we'll pay you $3,500. I'm like, fuck, dude, why not? And then in hindsight, like, my old man was so pissed. He's like, you're on fucking MTV and you only got $3,500. He's like, what the hell is wrong with you? You should have asked for fucking 40, 50, $100,000. And I was like, I just took like the first offer they sent me. And so then that's how it happened. Then they flew out, and I was out of the hospital. I was still in a cast and or a leg brace and crutches. And the guy showed up to film this, to go back to the scene. And he's like, wait a second, you're still hurt? He's like, how long ago was this? I was like, oh, this is like 2 months ago. He was like, holy shit, okay. So he was surprised. Like, he's like, usually only get like a lot older clips that people send us. I didn't know this is so fresh. So he was all excited. And then, a part of me wishes I would have never done that, because I think it's like my most viewed video. Because people love a good crash, whether I mean, BMXers don't necessarily like a good crash because we know what's involved with that. But the general public likes a good crash. So in hindsight, I kind of wish I never would have done it, you know?
And I can completely understand that, man, especially, just hearing about how hard and everything that you had to go through for that,
Yeah.
It's,
and then to get $3,500 and, I was in the hospital. I was on, opiates or whatever they were pumping into me there, and $3,500 to somebody that basically has like $500 in his bank account sounds pretty damn good. Okay, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of a stupid mistake in a ways. Like I would have done it going back if I could go back in time and tell myself, be like, no, dude, don't do that shit. Fuck that.
Yeah, especially for just such a low amount, unfortunately, right? Like
Yeah.
when you really think about how much money these TV shows and producers and whatnot get paid, it is ridiculous that they would only offer you that much.
They're owned by like Viacom, which is like fucking global blah blah blah, more money than you could ever know what to do with. And so $3,500 isn't shit.
Yeah, absolutely not. And MTV used to have Viva La Bam on it, and in an interview with the Nine Club, he talks about how they were giving him $300,000 a week for his episodes. $300,000 a week to just do whatever he wanted. Like,
yeah, right.
That is fucked. Yeah, it's such an absurd amount of money that these companies used to have, and it is funny to see that nowadays TV's kind of dying. We are like moving over to streaming platforms and whatnot mainly. So we'll see if these guys make it through. I'm assuming they will. Like
they will, and they like change. I don't know. I don't want to even get into MTV, but yeah, it's kind of it's pretty much bullshit, and it was my fault as I was being a dumbass, of course, and just like signed it and was like, all right, let's do it. And then the episode came out and we watched it at my apartment. I'm still in a cast, still in crutches.
Jesus.
And we had a bunch of people over for it, and I just sat in the back and I watched it once. But how they like to hype it up, so they keep replaying it.
Yeah.
As they're interviewing me.
Yep.
And I just like went in my room and just laid down. I was just like, no, this is fucking stupid. I should have never done that shit. This is dumb. And it just kind of made the whole thing worse.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. If you don't mind me asking, how much were your medical bills for your leg?
Oh, dude. Actually, you know what? Now that we're bringing all these old memories up, I did have insurance because I was working at the time at FedEx Ground.
Okay.
But I was only working part-time, so the insurance wasn't that great. I ended up getting, fuck, dude, it was like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It was fucking stupid amounts of money, and these bills are rolling in, and now I'm like starting to really stress, like I'm like, then I took the MTV money and was like, fuck that, I'm not spending this shit on medical bills. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, if $3,500 is all I earned for this, I'm going to keep that shit. I'm going to put it back into BMX.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. But I don't know. It was a lot of money, man. It was a lot of money. I had a little bit of insurance through my part-time job. And that covered like a good amount of it. And then I applied for some financial aid relief and ended up getting most of all of it taken care of. And the only thing that they wouldn't cover was my physical therapy bills, which were really expensive too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And then once the physical therapist realized that like my insurance wouldn't cover me, he was like, didn't care if I, if he saw me or not. He was like, oh yeah, well, fuck this.
Yeah, dude, how funny is that? I'm like, at the end of the day, it's a business to them, right? It's like, you should do it out of the kindness of your heart, but it is a business, and I think a lot of those people just look at the money.
Well, I
wasn't
wasn't paying. I was like paying for each session, like I wasn't paying for it all at once. I'd pay my copay, and then like the bill was getting bigger and bigger as the time went on, and so I was only paying like little amounts of it off at a time, like not enough for him to be like, nah, dude, let's just not make this bill any bigger.
Yeah, fair enough.
And so he's like, you can walk now at least. So go take a walk.
Yeah, fair enough, eh? Yeah, when we had Joey Baggs on the show who broke his leg last year, and he was saying that, you know, he did not have as gnarly as a break as you, but his bills were 70 grand. And then, you know, we had Mike Aiken on the show, and hearing about his was ridiculous, right? With his
I can't even
accident.
Imagine the amount of bills that guy had with what he went through.
Yeah, exactly, right?
That's astronomical amounts of money. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's funny that you know, I always hear about these kind of things through, you know, doing the show and whatnot, and how the bills are so expensive. And like, obviously in Canada, our healthcare is covered by our taxes that we pay into every month, but or, you know, every year, I guess. But yeah, it's funny that like most BMX riders in the States, I feel like they would 100% agree with healthcare covered by your taxes or whatever. Like,
yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, when I would go to Europe, they would ask me, all the locals would ask me, like, Chester, like I'd be doing something insane, and they'd be like, don't you have health? Do you have health insurance? And I'd be like, no. And that would just blow their mind that I was doing this stuff with no health insurance. You know? It would blow their minds, and I would just like, yeah, man, that's just how it is. You know, I don't really know any different. You guys got health insurance? And they're like, yeah, we got health insurance. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just how it is, I guess, you know. But yeah, maybe in the future we'll see things change. But
yeah, hopefully. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you could definitely vouch for that. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like people need health insurance, and it's not just us like lunatics out there on the street on bicycles. It's, you know, it's grandma who is living on Social Security that has heart problems. You know, they can't afford to pay that shit. That's who really needs the help. You know, you make your own choices when you go jump down rails, but you know, sometimes you don't make your own choices when you have a heart attack and you have no money.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty sad to hear some of the things that I've heard, you know, just through talking to different people about, you know, how wild it can get in the States for that. But you know, I've rambled on long enough about that, so we'll move on here. So, Anytime Now, that was a We the People video that, again, amazing footage by you. So if it's cool with you, I'd love to talk about some of the clips in that video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Of course. So, you know, in the intro, we see you do this roof drop to pegs on a handrail. And, I believe the video came out in like 2010, 2011, right?
Yeah, I think it's 2010. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say is that is just so ahead of its time when you really think about it, right? Like, there was still some people doing roof drop to rails and whatnot, but dude, like, even nowadays, you know, there is a short list of people who have done it. So props to you, but what's the story behind that? Because it must have been something that you were looking for quite a while.
No, it's nothing I was looking for.
Really?
A lot of this stuff that I've filmed we just so happened to just, someone made a joke or someone had a spot, and it just like happened. So we were in Austin, Texas. We were shooting photos for a Dig article. There was a group of the East Coast dudes like Mike Brennan, and a handful of those guys that met up with me and Scott McMiniman and my buddy Max Anderson Young, who's also like, probably nobody knows who that guy is, but he's one of the smoothest, best BMXers and such a good friend. He just had to come with me to Austin. Like, you want to go to Austin? Yeah, let's go. So we rode for a few days. Navaz was there. And, you know, we're all having fun. And we were hanging out with Aaron Ross. And we went to this spot to get some good barbecue. And Aaron and Walter had mentioned something about a roof to rail that was down the street. And I said, roof to rail, dude, what are you talking about? He's like, well, if you don't want to do the roof to rail, like, you can just grind the rail or do something on the rail. So everybody was like, we didn't have anything else going on for us today. So we were like, all right, let's just cruise over there. But when he said roof to rail, everybody laughed. Like, no one's riding off a roof onto a rail today, Walter. Like, you're out of your mind. But we'll go check out this rail. So it was way back in this school, like we had to park and ride through the whole school, and we got there, and it's got this like nice grass landing. I like grass landings because who doesn't when they're soft, when you're doing something like that. And I'm looking at the roof, and I'm looking at the rail, and I'm just thinking, holy shit, dude, it is a roof to rail. And then I didn't say anything about it, and everybody's kind of eyeing the rail. And I think it was in an Etnies video, like Ian Monroe might have grinded it or something. I know I'd seen it in a video before. So I said to Scott, I was like, dude, I think I might try this. And someone else got word that I was thinking about it. And when you're around like Stu, or you're around Walter or Navaz or filmers or good photographers, like if you even breathe that you're going to try and do something like that, they're pulling cameras out. Like they're not messing around. They're looking for angles. And then you feel like the overwhelming pressure, like, fuck, they're getting the cameras out. And then they'll always say, oh, no pressure, man, no pressure, and I'm like, well, I'll get up on the roof and I'll look at it, and then I get up there and I'm like eyeing it. I'm like, fuck, dude, I think I could do this, but it's a blind drop, because pretty much all of them are. So I just set like a rock, like I eyed it as close as I could to be in line with the rail, and I just aimed my pegs towards the rock. And before I was gonna try it, Navaz yells at me. He's like, hey man, what, you want me to get up on the roof and get a fisheye angle of it? And my nerves were going so much, and I was like ready to do it, and I was like, no, don't worry, I just film it. So Navaz got the second angle, but that never really showed up anywhere. I think he posted it somewhere, but I should have just calmed down and let him get the fisheye angle, because I think the fisheye angle would have been pretty awesome too, to have two different angles on it. And then yeah, man, I rode off and did it once and came off early, and everybody was losing it, and they were like, fuck, you got to do it again. And I was like, God damn it. So I climbed back up on the roof and aimed my pegs towards that rock where I knew the rail was below me, and just kind of went for it. And then I did it.
Jesus,
and we were
dude.
just laughing. We were just laughing about it. Like, I couldn't even fucking believe I did it. Like, and then it was a big Eclaw poster in Dig.
Wow, dude, that is wild. To hear the backstory on that is crazy,
Yeah, it was just like these random things just pop up, dude. And if it's your spot, it's your spot, That's just kind of how it goes. Like, are you going to pull the trigger on it, yes or no? And I did that day, and it was all after my leg break and everything. And once I did that, I was like, I'm fucking back, baby.
There you go. Dude, that is just such a wild clip, And like I was saying earlier, the list of people who have done roof to rails is very short. So props to you for having your name on there.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, that was I knew it was pretty big when I did it, and I remember just being like filled with joy for the rest of the trip. And like I did a bunch of other, and everybody on that trip did so many fucking cool, sick ass tricks, and it was like such a good vibe. The whole trip was such a good vibe. I think that's how it got done. It was just good crew, right timing, perfect spot, boom, roof to rail.
Fuck yeah, man. That's so rad. It's always good to hear like stories where everybody is really in it with you. Everybody's hyping you up. Everybody's trying to get you to, push yourself and do something that you're capable of.
Yeah, one of the big things on that trip was the East Coast dudes were all fucking with everybody's bike. They like took like coffee mug putty and like put it inside people's stem bolts and shit.
Oh my god!
But nobody fucked with my bike because I had the trick of the trip, and no one fucked with my bike, so I was pretty awesome. I got unscathed with getting my bike fucked with.
That's incredible, man. When I worked at the bike shop, we did a lot of stupid shit like that. We literally had one of the employees go and take another employee's bike and drain all the air out of the tire, and then take the valve stem out of the tube. And he just sat there for 45 minutes just putting all of this water into his tubes to try and fill them.
Yeah, dude. The old water in the tube.
Yeah, dude. And he rode that bike for like a week and had no idea that the tubes were filled with water, which is incredible.
Have you interviewed Mike Brennan?
I have not, but I'm
You
going
need to
to.
call him and interview him, and just interview him about things you can do to people's bikes, because he's like the mastermind of fucking with people's bikes.
Dude, that's going to be awesome.
Just do a podcast on him fucking with people's bikes, dude. I mean, I've seen him stuff like dead fish and stuff down people's seat post tubes, and or like real sinister things that they talked about doing, but I don't think they ever did, like cutting someone's handlebars, like with a pipe cutter, like just a few turns on that, like just really fucked up things. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Dude, that's wild. Yeah,
Anybody listening to this, don't do that shit. Don't cut anybody's bars halfway through with a pipe cutter. Don't do that.
Yeah, do not do that. Another one that we did was we took like whipped cream and put it inside someone's bars, and then put the bar caps back on, because how often are they going to take their bar ends off, right? Like maybe when they switch the grips. So, a couple months go by and this dude's just got whipped cream in his bars and he takes them out. That fucking dude had to throw out those bars. He could not keep those bars.
I don't doubt it, man. That shit rots. And I mean, you can come up with all kinds of nasty stuff. Like, I don't know, dude. You pull a bottom bracket apart and you're like, what is in here? It turns into like Loctite or something. Like, you can't get your bottom bracket out,
Oh my God. Yeah. So bad. Yeah, dude, I gotta get a hold of Mike Brannon and get him to tell us about that. That'd be incredible.
Yeah, he's the mastermind of it.
Fuck yeah. Going back to any time now. Later in your part, we see a long ledge manual to feeble grind down of the ledge, essentially. And I just want to say, the fact that you went into feeble is just so fucking wild, because in my mind, I look at it as like anytime I'm in a gap or I'm doing something into a grind, I go into Smith, because you can see where your front peg is. You can control it a lot better, at least in my mind. But with the rear peg, I feel like you're way more likely to slip out, So, dude, again, props to you, because that's gnarly. But
yeah.
Yeah, how long did it take to get that clip? I know that you're pretty decent with your manuals and whatnot, are you not?
Yeah, I'm okay with the manuals. I've never been good at manualing down. Who's a good example? Mike Aiken. That guy can manual a kink ledge like nobody's business. So I've never been good at that, like that kind of ledge manual, like big kink ledge manuals. But that one it just had a real low spot at the beginning, and just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and just dropped down on it and feeble. Like, there was some kid that was walking below me, I think. And, so that was kind of funny. But yeah, I filmed it and I came off early, it looks like, and I think, we had to get somewhere, 'cause Andrew Jackson filmed that. And then, we went to the skate park, and I was like, dude, that clip was lame. And we showed a few dudes at the park, and they were like, no, dude, that was good. And I was like, all right, I'll keep it.
Yeah, it's a gnarly clip. I love it. I love that there's two dudes walking by. They like look behind them as you're passing them too.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like kind of a little quick drop to Phoebes. Like, it would have been cool to like feeble grind the whole down ledge, but I just couldn't keep my peg on, because it's like real thick and the ledge was really rounded. So it was like the peg didn't have a lot of room to sit on it, or I was out of balance a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it looks really good. And I like the fact that you did, people can talk all the shit they want about coming off early, but the way that you came off of it, it's still a drop after it. It's not like you came off and it was, another 2 feet of ledge. You came off, but there was a huge, like 6-7 foot drop to the sidewalk still. So
yeah, and maintaining the speed too, because the manual is going a little faster, and then drop, and then grind, and then drop again. I think if I would have maybe hung on to the ledge, I just would have came off the end of the ledge really slow.
Yeah, definitely.
So it worked out.
Yeah, I like that clip. That's definitely one that's, really stuck out to me. But while we're on the topic of that, we got to talk about this huge down ledge that you did a peg grind down. This thing is wild, dude. It is so massive.
It's that one's in Sacramento. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, so that one, what I love about it is the fact that one, you're doing it shirtless. So I'm like, that already says how fucking badass you are, because that could have been bad, man. Yeah, so like you were saying, is this something that you guys just kind of came on and like
Dude,
just found?
every one of those clips
Yeah.
is just something that like I can't remember why we were in Sacramento. One of my Scott McMiniman was there, and then another good friend of mine from Germany was visiting. His name is Marcel, and Marcel, we saw the ledge. It was like the day before. I went and stood up at the top of it. I was like, this fucker's too tall. And Marcel's like, you got it, man, in his German accent. You can do it, Chester. And I'm like, nah, dude, I don't know. I'm like, well, I'll think about it. So then a night went by, and Marcel was giving me shit. Scott didn't really say much other than like, do you want to go do it? And I'm like, I don't know. And Marcel was like, no, I know you can do it. I know you can do that. And I was like, all right, man. So that's the only thing we did all day. We just went to that ledge, and I fucking grinded down it. I couldn't even fucking believe it. And he was just like, I told you. I was like, I didn't believe you. So I was like, I didn't believe him, but I was, but when I was up there, it had a short runway. It has like a real terrible runway for how tall the ledge is. And I ended up just going for it. I had just enough runway, and I could get just high enough at that back peg up on there, and right down I went. So it was cool.
Yeah, we definitely don't see too many giant hubbas like that anymore,
Yeah.
So definitely, like I was saying earlier, really shows the kind of rider that you are, and the fact that you're able to use spots to their full potential.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to like maybe like 10 years ago using it to its full potential. I don't know, but nowadays, like people are doing things that like I would never even dream of. They're taking just the simplest stuff and making more potential out of it than I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. I have a proposition for everybody out there that's listening. If you just saw that clip of Chester and you know where that ledge is and you want to try something on it, if you do a feeble hard 180 on it, I will give you $100. I will put $100 on it right now. I doubt that that'll happen, but I'll put $100 on it.
Dude, that would be amazing. It would be amazing to feeble that. Yeah, I don't know. Feeble in that. Ugh.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, good luck, because it's fucking tall,
Yeah, it's really tall. Like, that was a good day. It was definitely a good day, because Marcel was just like fucking so ecstatic. I think he was more happy than I was, because he like talked my ass into it, and I was like, all right, dude, I think you're right, but I don't know.
Yeah, dude, that's it's so wild. And that's the thing. I'm like, I haven't seen that ledge in any other footage. So pretty rad that, all these years later and it still holds up. Nobody's really touched that thing.
Yeah, it's in Sacramento. It's in downtown. It'll be easy to find. It's at one of the bigger buildings in like central Sacramento downtown.
Yeah.
If you want to go fuck with it, it's there. I think there's a left side one too.
Oh, wow. That's gnarly.
So, it's not only a righty, but it's a lefty. I think there's a lefty there.
Jeez, man, that would be nuts. Yeah, so moving on from there, we have to talk about your ender. Your ender is just so rad. It's you doing a running caveman to feeble grind on this really wide down rail. So if I'm correct, this rail is in Germany, right?
Yeah, it's in Cologne, Germany at the college.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's it's just such a gnarly clip, and I think that it kind of set an example for other riders. One that comes to mind instantly is Sean Mack. I know that there's a video from, I think, maybe it was in his Primo edit, but it's him doing a caveman to pegs drop on like an LA courthouse. And
like on is it a ledge or a rail?
So he jumps off of a ledge onto a rail.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like above the ledge, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Or he's above the rail. Sorry, standing on the ledge. Yeah. Yeah, Sean, I've known Sean since he was a little kid. So I was a kid too, but I've known him since he was a little kid. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's a compliment, you know, that he would, because I was always into trying to do caveman and ninja drops and stuff like that. So to see him do that stuff, it's, you know, just typical Grants Pass.
Yeah, definitely, eh? We're just watching the clip now. You stuck that so well, too. Like, you came perfectly off the ledge and everything.
Yeah, it's just, if you ever go there, it's such a cool little rail. Everybody goes there. There's been a billion things filmed on it. You know, if it's right around the corner from the People's Store, it's not very far. And no one's seen, I never have seen or heard anybody getting kicked out. It's just like this sick ass rail. I think it's in a million skate videos. It's something you can just go play on. And there's a left side one, there's a right side one. It was broken at one time. I did like a gap to ice when it was broken in the middle on it. So, you know, it's kind of a fun place to go check out.
Dude, if I ever find myself in Germany, I will send you a photo of that rail.
Yeah, it's in Cologne, dude. You won't. It's like the first thing, if you go with any locals, it's probably the first thing they'll take you to.
Fuck yeah, that would be insane.
Or you'll ask to go there and they'll just roll their eyes like, oh God, okay.
Fair enough, eh? Alrighty, so we'll move on to some other stuff here. So we got quite a few questions. How are you doing there? We're getting close to 2 hours.
Yeah, I've got about 40 minutes left.
Cool. Alrighty. Let's see here. I'm just gonna find my best questions. There was a lot that I put on here, so yeah. Let's see. I'm not doing that one. So here's just a kind of a random one. Do you have any advice for people out there that want to learn how to do can foot plants?
Yes, it's a relatively easy trick. So what you want to find first, instead of a quarter pipe, find a roller that has kind of a steep bank, or find a steep bank with a rolled edge on top. Something that you can actually kind of air out of, but there's like minimal consequence to hanging up when you're trying to get your foot back over. Because getting your foot over the bar is the easy part. It's getting your foot back over the bar and not hanging up on the quarter pipe or back over the top tube. So just find something like a steep bank with a rolled edge, and then just when you're going up and you just want to try and air out as high as you can and give yourself enough time to get your foot over, and then just land like nice and square, so you don't blow your knee out or something. And then you can actually, you don't even have to put your foot back over the bar. You can just drop in and ride away in a can position, right? And then that will get you like enough confidence of learning the motion of getting the foot over. And then when you start feeling it, you can start to hop off of your foot and try and get your foot back over the top tube. Just find a steep bank that you can kind of get some good air out of with a rolled edge, and just go with it.
Dude, that's actually some great advice. I would love to see that trick come back. That's something that, we don't see very often, but it is the perfect lip trick on like a mini ramp or whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, and like if you get real good at it, you can do it in a pool. You can do it you can just get so creative. Jim Selinsky, and the one that I never learned was, I think it's an old Odyssey video, and I was always so jealous because I could never figure out what setup to learn it on. Was he did it on a flat wall.
Wow, that's wild.
You got to find that clip somewhere. I can't remember what video it was, but that was like, it blew my mind when I saw that, So I never got to learn it on a flat wall, but that was always one that I wanted to know how to do because I did that trick a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna send him a message and see if he knows what video that's in, and we'll definitely put that in here, and I'll send it to you after.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a real good one.
That's nuts, man. So to go back on Burnside here, I totally forgot one of the gnarliest things that you've ever done there was this massive toothpick stall on a fence off of this ridiculous quarter pipe there. So What happened there? Like, that had to be something you had eyed up for a while, right?
Oh yeah, I added it up. Justin Inman, he foo-fanooed it like probably 3 years before I wanted to toothpick it. Um, and I would go there every morning. I was working at FedEx. I was working the graveyard shift at FedEx. So as soon as I would get off work, I'd go home, eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, have a cup of tea, and then cruise down to the park. And it was just like, I learned I was really good at doing toothpick stalls. I was good at doing toothpicks on sub boxes. And I just thought, man, I bet I could toothpick that fence. And I rolled it around in my head. And then I called Shad Johnson to come film it. And I said, okay, this Friday morning, come down to the park. I'm going to toothpick the fence at Burnside. So all week long, I waited, got it, like went and rode the park every day, did like 1,000 toothpick stalls, just kept eyeing it. And then that Friday showed up Friday morning and Shad didn't show up. And I was like, what? I called him. I'm like, dude, where were you this morning? And I was like, I'm going to toothpick the fence. He's like, oh, you're actually thinking about doing that? And I was like, dude, I wasn't bullshitting you, man. So that was pretty funny. So then I said, all right, give me one more week. Next Friday, I'm going to fucking do it. Because, it's the weekend, because I'm working all week. And at least I'll have like 2 days to try and heal up if things don't go good. And so I worked the whole next week. And then we went there. And I think I had a couple slams, not too bad, but it was getting pretty hairy. And then I think the third or fourth try, I nailed it.
Dude, that is fucking wild. Again,
yeah, it was wild.
Gnarly.
It was a wild. Like, it didn't make any sense. It made sense to me, but it's kind of weird when you watch a clip of yourself over and over, and then you kind of lose what it felt like to do it if you keep watching clips of yourself. And now I've seen that clip a lot or many times, and it doesn't make sense to me either. I was like, how the fuck did I do that?
Yeah, dude, that's nuts. And you had actually said that Jay foo-fanooed that fence. I was going to ask, when you ran brakes, did you ever consider it?
No, Jay already did it. But I was never really good at over ice pick back overs. So I always wanted to do an over ice on it back over. And I always thought the perfect candidate for that would be Van Homan. And I was like, I know he's been there a few times, but I never got to ride there with him because I always wanted to suggest it, someone, and Sean McIntosh, him and I always wanted to, we always talked about over icing it, cause that would just shut the whole fucking place down. I mean, that would be insane. But yeah, Jay foofed it. Jay foofanooed that thing like 3 or 4 times. That wasn't like a one clip show. Jay foofanooed that. And then someone, I think Z was there at Burnside, and someone suggested to Jay, hey, Jay foofanooed that fence a few weeks ago. Maybe you should, Jay, do it again. And Jay did it again, and he got to cover a ride.
Holy fuck, dude. That is nuts.
Yeah, he did it more than once. Like, that's how good Justin Inman is. Like, he's one of those dudes. Like, I'm like do or die. And Jay has always been like, he's got style. He's smooth. He's consistent,
Pretty calculated, it sounds like, as well.
Yeah. It's a real steep quarter, and getting up on top of the fence isn't that hard. It's getting back in it.
Definitely, yeah. Dude, it would be really gnarly on that thing? Like a 180, like sprocket smash, like stall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like kind of like a disaster on it.
Oh my God. I don't know. Like that, that would be a nightmare. That'd be a nightmare.
There's no way that that'll ever get done, but like dream stall trick on that for sure.
Yeah, there's a few dream stall tricks on that, and one in Sean McIntosh's head and my head. We always, have a few beers and talk about over icing it, but none of us got the balls to go do it.
Yeah, fuck that, man. That's gnarly. Oh, dude. So why don't you tell us a little bit about like filming for Blueprint and growing up in the Northwest?
So I'd met, like, Shad Johnson was filming for Blueprint. I was good friends with a couple other guys, the kids my age, Lou Racich, if you know that name. He's probably the most famous Blueprint part of all time. And then his brother Lee Racich, and then the guy I had a split section with, Ryan Evans, and so we were kind of a crew, the four of us, and I lived in Grants Pass, and I would by all means try to get up to Portland as much as I could, and Lou had met Shad because we were all just kind of coming around in the scene at that time. It's probably 98. 99. I'd been going to Portland and Salem for a few years before then, but I'd never really met Shad. And we started filming, he didn't ask me to have a video part, but for a little while until he was getting a little bit closer to the video being done. And everybody else had like legit bikes, S&Ms and Kinks and Standards. And I always had I just had what I had, I had a Blue Falcon. I had a Brian Foster Blue Falcon that I put pegs on, and I just did a bunch of crazy shit. And Shad loved it, and then the video came out. But he premiered it on the day I graduated from high school, so that was real shitty. I never got to go to the premiere. That's not Shad's fault, but I couldn't miss my graduation because my mom and all that stuff obviously wants me to be there. But that would have been a good story if I did. But anyway, yeah. So filming with that was pretty fun. It was just like whenever I was in Portland or whenever I was with Lou, because they had a camera, we would try and get something done. But my bike was always broken. My shit always broke. I had a crappy Haro. I had a Schwinn Blue Falcon. I had a Hoffman Debo for a little while. It just, I think I had like every clip in there is like maybe a different bike or something. And every time we would go out, I would get too excited, try and grind down something, hang my peg up on an upright and break my rear axle. And I would be done,
Oh my God.
So I didn't get as much stuff. I didn't get as much stuff as I'd wanted to. But Ryan Evans, he definitely came through with some really like better riding clips than what I put out there. But yeah, he filled that void and kind of made up for my lack of clips and lack of having a working bicycle.
Yeah, fair enough, eh? That's awesome though, especially to hear that you guys were still filming and whatnot back then, and that's pretty rad, especially because that is kind of where everything started, eh?
Yeah, there was already a really big thriving scene before I showed up there. There's all kinds of Northwest videos, that are awesome. They rival all of the old FBM videos, like of wild shenanigans. You can find those. But yeah, and there was a lot of guys that were into riding that were kind of getting out of riding when I started showing up in that scene. And then, it kind of seemed like as soon as I got out of high school, the first thing I did was I only made it one day in Grants Pass. I drove up north and stayed up here. So, and then the scene, then it was like, now it's on, it's after Blueprint. And then we just rode and filmed and hung out and partied and all that stuff. So
fuck yeah, man. That's what it's like being younger dude back then with BMX and whatnot. So
yeah, it's like when there was always a BMX house,
Yeah, definitely, man. Anyways, while we're on the topic of that, when you were 19, you kind of took off and went on so many trips and whatnot. And why don't you tell us a little bit about these trips? Like you've been to, we kind of covered Germany earlier, but even recently you took a trip on your motorcycle with your bike. It was a few years ago, but across Canada and the States, right?
Yeah, I did. I didn't know shit about motorcycles. I never even really rode one before, but I always wanted to ride a motorcycle across the country. I didn't know what that would entail, and I didn't know exactly like what bike to get or anything. I really couldn't afford a Harley, and I just wanted something that worked. So I got this Yamaha V-Star 1100. It's purple and all this like fake plastic chrome and shit on it, but it was super reliable and it was so easy to change the oil on. That's all I needed to do was just change the oil in the tires. And a good friend of mine who's a fabricator down in Grants Pass, high school buddy of mine, I want to put my BMX bike on it. I'm going to ride around the country. And so that was kind of the plan. So he helped fabricate a rack for it. And I kind of came up with an idea. I used like a Park Tool bicycle work stand mount. And then we fabbed around that mount. And then we put the bike upside down on the motorcycle and did some test rides up and down, from Grants Pass to Portland and back. And then, and then, the day came, I got a few of my buddies, there was like, I think 5 of us all together. We just took off from Grants Pass. Everybody met in Grants Pass and we took off from there, went all the way down the California coast, through Arizona down to Texas. We stayed in Austin for a little bit, and then we all kind of split up from Austin. A few of the guys had to go back home and go to work. Another guy had to go home. And then it turned into like a 3-month adventure around the country, East Coast, Midwest, and Canada, Toronto. I went to Toronto, went to Montreal. I was going to go over the Great Lakes. I was going to go over Lake Superior, but I was getting fucking hammered with rain day after day after day. Ended up getting like a hotel and stayed in that hotel for 2 days, and it still didn't stop raining, and the weather wasn't looking good, and it was just too dangerous. I was kind of pretty much a novice on a motorcycle at that time, and then just finished out, went back down through Michigan, and then across the Midwest, Utah, Colorado, Idaho, all that stuff, and back home. It took like 3 months.
Wow, man, that's crazy.
I just stop and ride in places and check out all these skate parks and visit friends, and it was like living free, It was like living in a Bob Seger song for like 3 months. It was fucking cool.
That's so dope, dude. From all your road trips and adventures, what are some of the biggest lessons that you took away from them?
Many lessons. Be patient, not everything always works out, and that's okay. If you got nowhere to be or nothing to do, then don't stress. Or if you think you got somewhere to be or something to do, don't stress even then. It's pretty much it. Just be patient. Don't plan too much, because if you plan too much and you try and stick to a plan, it never works out. The plan never works out. So, just be flexible, be patient. Don't drink too much and be too hungover to ride the next day. I learned that lesson. I had to learn that lesson about 1 million times. And that kind of stuff. And just have fun and be safe, and don't be afraid to go seek out like new things or go see new stuff, no matter what somebody says is dangerous. Then that's somebody else's opinion. You can go figure it out yourself.
Fuck yeah, dude. So I got one more for you, and then we're going to do our fan questions, and then one after that, if that's okay.
All right, sounds good.
Cool. So yeah, just going off of traveling and whatnot, do you think that traveling and the world experiences that you have had have helped you adapt to becoming a dad?
Yes, but now when I say be patient when traveling is different than being patient when you have kids. Because having kids is like a whole nother level of patience that I didn't even know existed. It's pretty funny to have kids after traveling a lot, because you do feel tied down, and that can be really hard. Mm-hmm. You're like, you're stuck in the house and it's fucking raining for the 100th day in a row, and the kids are going crazy. There's also a pandemic going on. So, you can feel really trapped, and those kids will drive you insane. But at the same time, for all the shit they put you through so far, and I only have 5 years experience of it, is that it's worth it, But yeah, I mean, you can definitely take those lessons that you've learned through traveling and life experience and apply it to your kids. What I am also learning is, maybe your kids aren't into the same shit that you're into, and that's okay too. Don't be mad about it. Just like I wasn't into hunting and fishing like my dad was, I didn't mind it. I went and did it a lot, but I wanted to go ride bikes, and he may not have understood that a lot, but I've got to kind of look at it the same way. Maybe they won't be into BMX. Maybe they won't be into riding dirt bikes. That's okay. They'll figure out their own thing.
Hell yeah, man. That's such a great answer. And that's something that, with other dads on the show, like Sean Mack and some of the other guys that we've had on, that's something that we always try and ask about is, are they into BMX? Have you pushed them towards it at all? And 95% of the time, people have always said, I haven't made any attempt to push it at them. I haven't tried to do anything. I want them to come to it naturally if they're interested in it.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like my oldest, he's going to be 5 here next month. He can ride his bike, and he's pretty good at it. He can pick up his front wheel. Like I always, whenever we're riding, I go out, take him around the block, take him around the neighborhood. I've taken him to the skate park. I just give him like the fundamentals, like, hey bud, just try and pick that front end up. Just pick that front end up. Stand up when you ride, and keep your feet flat. And so just tell them those things. It's just 3 things that they can remember. And, and he's already getting really good at it, and he does like it. But right now he's into toys. So, cause he's not even 5 yet. So it takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, recently we had Mike Aiken, and he was talking about how his son did ride at one point, but then he got really into soccer. And it's interesting to hear, from the BMX godfather, one of the best riders ever to do it, Mike Aiken.
Yeah.
It's insane to hear him get so stoked that his son is into soccer and not BMX. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he was
right?
so excited to talk about that. And I was honestly, like, it shows just how much, yeah, I don't know. It's just wild.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I think, Mikey's kids, they're like probably a lot older than my kids.
Yeah, I think his son was 14 now.
Okay, yeah. So, because his son was born when we were on Road Fools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, oh my God, that was fucking 14 years ago. Holy shit. But you just don't know. You just don't know what your kids are going to get into. I don't know what my kids are going to get into. My oldest, like I said, he's going to be 5 here next month. You just want him to have fun, be happy, don't do stupid shit. I mean, you have all these worries. I have all these worries, but and at the same time, I do daydream of, going and doing a camping trip on the Oregon coast and going and hitting every single skate park down the Oregon coast with my boys, So I have hopes that they'll be into BMX, cause I want to ride again. I want to go to the skate park again and do that stuff. But right now I'm being a dad.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also have a 1-year-old. So I have 3 kids. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And it's hard to take all 3 or the 2 of them with a 1-year-old to the skate park.
It's hard to do anything with that many kids, right? Like,
yeah,
realistically.
it's nuts, dude. It's insane. It's the most insane, craziest shit I've ever been involved with.
Definitely, eh? There's a lot of reward out of it, though, so that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's move on to the fan questions, because I know you got to get going. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This is really big for me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, man. No problem. I'm glad you hit me up.
Fuck yeah. But yeah, moving on to fan questions. So our good friend Corey Beal from Repset wants to know, when was the last time you filmed something crazy? Has that clip come out, and can you tell us about it?
See, last time I filmed something crazy. Jeez.
I know, kind of a weird question. I wasn't really sure how to word it, but I guess like the last scary thing you did, right?
Yeah, maybe the last scary thing I did. I did do a can plant in that ditch. That kind of, I don't know what, it's this ditch in Austin. It was when I was on that motorcycle trip.
Yep. I'm actually going to pull that up. I have that saved on my computer.
Dude, that was the fucking coolest can plant. That shit was fucking awesome. Yeah, that one. I can see it from in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's wild, eh?
I don't think we filmed it because it was just me and my buddy of mine who was on the trip too, who shoots photos. So yeah, and we were just there. Nobody was there with us, so we never filmed it.
Yeah, that's so nuts, man. That's a great photo of it too, by the way.
Yeah, dude, he killed it on that photo. And I tried that thing. I tried it like fuck, dude. I think I tried it like 100 times or something, and it's in the Texas heat.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even Texas heat according to Texans. It was May, so it wasn't even like hot to them. But to me, it was like, fuck, it was way too hot.
Jesus, dude. Yeah, that's gnarly, man. That's really cool to hear that was kind of one of the last scary things, because that was pretty recent still. Like,
Yeah, still,
you
it was
know?
like 2013, so that
Yeah.
was like a little bit, not too. It was pretty far away, but it's still there, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, a good friend of ours, Liam, wants to know, what's your dream car?
Dream car?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I'm like, you're more of a motorcycle guy, so either
I'm
or.
I'm a little bit more of a motorcycle guy, but I just like a good, reliable pickup truck that can operate my phone and play music. Yeah, I'm pretty simple. I think my dad built a '68 GTO when I was about 16 years old. He rebuilt it from the ground up.
Wow.
And I was too stupid to go in the garage with him and actually learn something because he was willing to teach me. But BMX rules all when you have the bug. So I would like to have a '68 GTO just in the garage, just chilling. It was red. It was pretty awesome. And then just my reliable pickup truck. That's it.
GTO is a great car, though. That's a great one to have.
I think I like it because he liked it so much, like, because I'm not really much of a car guy, but if I could get a car, and then if I just have those two, the GTO and the truck. Oh, and then we got the minivan too because we have 3 kids.
You got to have that. That's a must.
It sucks, but you know what? It's a necessity.
Oh man. Alrighty. So this one comes in from Black Sales. What happened to the ice cream truck that you used to own?
Oh yeah, my first car was a 1958 Chevy. It's like a box van. 58 had 3 on the tree. It ended up breaking down to the point where it wasn't worth fixing, and then I sold it to a friend who loved it, and he got it going somehow, and then it just kind of stuck around Grants Pass for a little bit, and then someone else bought it from him and painted it. It used to say it was an ice cream truck, and we painted on one night on the back of it. We called it the Death Wagon, and then my buddy went in. He was pretty good with stenciling, and he just randomly put, "Don't laugh, your daughter might be in here." So I'm like 16, my first car, and I'm driving around Grants Pass like full of BMXers, me and all the other BMX kids, and we're going to and from the Ashland, Talent, Grants Pass skate parks, which are all like 40 minutes apart, and driving it to school. "Don't laugh, your daughter might be in here." It was pretty funny.
Oh my god, that's incredible, actually. Oh man.
Yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, it broke down, and then it got sold and resold, and then someone painted over it. I don't know where it is today.
Yeah, fair enough. This one comes in from Sean Harrison. Will you ever release another video part?
I would like to go. I wouldn't say I'm going to release a video part, but I would like to get back out to some of the local parks around here. Just just get my feet wet again and just start riding some of the parks. I don't really see myself doing much on the street. I definitely would like to go hit a couple handrails, but I gotta dust the cobwebs off right now. So, but yeah, I would love to do. I'd love to film some clips. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that would be incredible, man. I'm sure we would love to see it, That would be awesome to see you riding and
I'm not saying I'm like done. I'm never going to ride again.
Yeah.
I'm busy, and I still love riding. It doesn't, just because you don't ride for a few years or however many years it's been, it doesn't mean that I don't look at spots. It doesn't mean
definitely.
That part of my brain is not turned off. I see shit all the time, especially when I'm hanging out with the kids. We're going to these new parks that they're building, like play parks and stuff. I'm like, damn, this is a spot.
Yeah.
You know, usually I'll text like Hobie Doan, like, Hobie, you got to come do this. Like, this thing's just sitting here.
Oh, that's incredible, man. Yeah, while we're on the topic of that, what are you currently riding? Like, when was the last time you actually did go out and ride?
I went and rode Burnside a couple months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. And then sometimes Sean McIntosh, because he goes to all these dirt bike races with his kids.
Yeah.
And he goes up to Washington. So I'm like the halfway point for him.
Yeah.
So what he'll do is he'll roll up. And if he doesn't have to be up in Washington by a certain time, him and I will go down to the park and we'll go cruise Burnside. So yeah, and sometimes I'll just pedal from my house, which it's like 4 miles from my house, and I'll just pedal down to Burnside and just go take some laps and pedal home. It's good exercise. All right, I still pedaled I got a 26-inch cruiser. You might see it.
Yeah,
in the
I can see it in the back.
Yeah, that We the People gave me. That's a Champ. It's from like 2008.
Yeah, a buddy of mine has one of those.
Twice a week.
Yeah,
so I'm still pedaling.
That's
I
rad,
still go
man.
ride a bicycle.
Yeah,
I love bicycles. So,
what is your current BMX setup like?
Oh, it's the same from 2015.
Really?
It's the same bike. It's doesn't look scratched up or nothing, but yeah, it's a We the People Sleepless with my bars. I finally changed the grips on it because they were pretty much done. But other than that, it's pretty good.
That's rad though. That's still pretty cool that you have that one bike still.
Yeah, I still got like all my frames and stuff and bars and grips and all that nostalgia and all that stuff. So yeah, but I my bike's right there. I can go ride it anytime.
Fuck yeah. And I'm sure if you ever needed a new bike, you could just hit We the People up and they would help you out 100%.
Yeah, dude, they have helped me out before, like I've gotten a few in the past years, like little kids in our family that needed a BMX bike. They've always hooked me up with something, you know. So they've always been so good.
Fuck yeah, dude. So this one comes in from Ratty Matty. Ratty Matty wants to know about your elbow issues, physical therapy, recovery tips, and how's it going now? And he sent me a DM just to kind of elaborate on it. So he had said that he knows that you have had so many slams in your elbow, and you know many of us have, but yours is really, you know, you've had some really bad slams on it.
Yeah, I broke my elbow when I was 17. I shattered it. And then they put 3 plates and 12 screws in there. And then I recovered. I never got full range of motion out of my elbow, my left elbow.
Yeah.
And then I have suffered from multiple infections, which I do believe is from the hardware. About 3 years ago, I got a really, really, really bad infection in the bone.
Oh my God.
And they had to go in. They were going to pull the hardware out. So they were going to do this surgery and pull the hardware out. And I actually have a buddy who's a brain surgeon, who's like a friend of mine. And I called him and I was like, yo, what kind of questions do I ask the doctor before they go in and try and get this hardware out? And he goes, ask them if they got the right tools. And I was like, fuck, I would have never thought of that. So I go to the surgeon and I go, hey, do you have the right tools? And she goes, yeah, we're pretty sure we do. I was like, what? So they went in, long story short, they went in and they couldn't get the hardware out. They stripped everything out. They sewed me back up. I woke up, you know, from surgery. They're like, we couldn't get it out. They put me on all these gnarly antibiotics. And I had to get like IV antibiotics and all that stuff. So the main thing is one of the doctors has told me, you know, this could be a recurring thing, which it has been a recurring thing. I've only had one other infection since that surgery, but I get to the doctor right away. I get those antibiotics, and I'm usually good in about a week before it gets out of control. It's because I let it get out of control once, and it got really, really bad, like really serious. Like where, you know, you could lose your arm kind of shit.
Wow.
But as far as like physical therapy and stuff, so everybody knows that I was a big time nicotine addict. I was a smoker, and I smoked more cigarettes than a lot of people. and I could smoke all day. Well, it's been 3 years since I quit smoking.
Dude, congratulations. That's fucking
Yeah, it's been
awesome.
good. It feels good, and so it's fun to say it. It's fun to tell people it. Some people probably sick of hearing me say, "It's been 3 years." It's going on. It's going to be 4 coming up, and all that shit. So, so that's good. So just try and eat healthy. Don't smoke if you smoke, or try and quit. It's a little, it's hard to quit. You think you need it, but you really don't, that kind of stuff. Finally figured that out. Took me years to figure it out, but I figured it out finally. And yeah, I mean, physical therapy wise, if you do have a big injury, get a second opinion. Don't be afraid to get a second opinion. Keep your head strong, try and stay positive, stay away from the opiates. And if you need painkillers, I guess you can smoke some weed. So
Yeah, that works. I mean, definitely for some people, right? Like, I have quite a bit of CBD just at my house for whenever I've got an injury of some sort, and I really like it. It works pretty well. So
yeah, no, it does. It works pretty good. Like, I like those gummies.
yeah,
I'll eat a gummy now and then, feel pretty good. So, yeah. And I mean, like, you don't have to go get a gym membership or nothing. If you want to go crazy, you can do that, but you can just do basic stretching, and just basic exercises and pedal. Cause
yeah,
pedaling is what keeps you the most healthy, pedaling around.
definitely use your whole body.
Yeah. Use your whole body, and you're pedaling that little bike. It takes a lot of work to pedal that little bike.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's not like riding like a normal size bike, right? Where you can just pedal and it's just all one thing. A BMX is pedal, pedal, coast. You're constantly going.
It's funny because when you only ride BMX, you don't think of it as being hard. But then if you don't ride for a while, you go and pedal that thing around the city, and dude, you want to die.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're like, this. How did I do this for so many years?
Yeah, I commute a lot on bikes, but most of the time I'm on my road bike if I've got to go anywhere. But I bike to every skate park that I go to if it's in town, and half the time you get there and you're already like, all right, I'm feeling fucking, I'm feeling it already.
Yeah, no, it's good though, because it's good to pedal to the skate park, because then you're all warmed up.
Definitely, yeah, 100% agree. Anyways, we have a few from Dean here. He sent in so many. Thank you, Dean Dickinson, so much for that. That's really nice of you. Do you know how much longer you have, just so I can be aware?
I'm good for a minute. Yeah, let's hear
cool. So yeah, tell us about the time that someone was breaking into your car while working at Blockbuster.
Oh yeah, no, it was Hollywood Video. I used to work at Hollywood Video. It was like my first job when I left my house. I saw somebody, my door was open. I was going on lunch break, and my door was open in my car, and I ran out to the parking lot and started screaming at this dude, and he jumped from the passenger side of my car back into his car. And I still don't know how I did it to this day, but I punched right through the passenger side window of his car.
Holy fuck, eh?
Just punched right through it. Like it was nothing. Like I must have been like pure adrenaline to do it, but I did it. And there's this lady screaming in the driver's seat because she was driving, and the dude that was breaking into my car, he was in the jumping in the passenger seat.
Yeah. And
their doors like flying open as they're trying to drive out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
And they basically all they got, they were trying to get my stereo out of my car, and all they did was break it and tear off the faceplate.
Oh, fucking assholes, eh? Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know how I did that though.
That's wild.
It was wild.
Yeah, we actually just had to put a surveillance camera in because someone fucking walked into our house, and I know the person, but they walked into my house and just was not invited, I don't want to leave too many details in, but it ended up with him on the floor of my office with 2 cops on top of him fucking pulling him out,
Yeah, no kidding, dude. It's getting so sketchy around here, man. Like,
yeah,
you just got to keep your shit locked up, or you got to move out to the woods, dude. I don't know what to tell you, but even living out in the woods is pretty sketchy too sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just finally happy that we have something, because this is like the second or third time people have tried to get in here. So,
yeah, man.
Yeah,
just make it hard for them, because they're not gonna stop.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, another one here from Dean. So Tell us about the time that you almost died twice hiking in the Southern Oregon mountains.
Oh, fucking A. All right. I might not have time for this whole story, but I'll make it quick.
Yeah, give us
It's
the
a
short
long
version.
one. You need like a campfire and some beers to tell the whole story. But
Damn.
so with me and 4 friends, I was 17. We were all 17 except for the oldest dude who was 18 at the time. He worked at a bike shop, and none of us had mountain bikes or anything. But he said, "Hey, I want to do this 100-mile bike ride. I've done it before. We should do it." I'm like, "Well, we don't have fucking mountain bikes, dude." And he's like, "Don't worry, we're just gonna take the rentals from the bike shop, and then we'll go do the ride, and we'll return the bikes, and no one will ever know it." I was like, "All right, sounds cool." So we kind of got a late start. We got the bikes, and then we got a late start, and we tried to pedal up over Onion Mountain in Southern Oregon, and we ran into some snow. But we thought we could, like, we're being dumb, and we thought we could push up over the snow, and pretty soon, it's I think it was like late March, and it was getting dark, and we got stuck in the snow on these bikes.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, we pushed way too far. Like, we should have turned around hours ago, but we pushed way too far, and then it got dark, and then a blizzard rolled in. So there we are in a blizzard on a mountain with these stupid fucking mountain bikes in jeans, and like I have like a sweatshirt on. I don't even have gloves or anything.
Yeah.
I have like clip-in shoes for the mountain bike, and we ended up climbing down this ravine to get out of the blizzard, and found like some tree holes that we kind of pushed the snow out of the way because it was the only dry spot to sit, and we were stuck there all night in the blizzard. And the search and rescue, because we never came home, so our parents tried to fucking figure out where we were going. My dad was the only one that had a clue because I had mentioned something about going up over Onion Mountain. And then they had a whole search and rescue team. They came. The search and rescue guy found us like just at daybreak. We all had hypothermia.
Fuck, dude.
Dude, I mean, like, it was so gnarly. I could go into so many details, but you're walking around in the snow in clipless shoes for hours, dude. The blisters that you get are insane. Like, it was a horrible night. My friend Josh lost his shoes in the snow because we were walking down the ravine, and he stepped in a big hole, and we had to pull him out. And then we pulled him out, and he lost one of his shoes. So he had one shoe.
Fuck.
And we dug and dug. We could never find it. So he stayed. He started going kind of crazy, like, because of hypothermia and shit. And they found us in the morning. We climbed back out of the ravine. By the time the sun came up, we saw how gnarly it was. And then there was this old fucking snowcat from, like, it looked like it was from like the 40s or something, double track,
Yeah.
all that shit. So we climb into this thing. Josh, my friend Josh, who lost his shoe, he had frostbite all over his foot, and he couldn't walk, and he had to be carried out of the ravine. So they needed a helicopter to get him out of there.
Yeah.
Because it took all day to rescue us. And then this wasn't no, like, just walk out, there's a tractor, go down the hill. Like, dude, we were in a fucking ravine.
Yeah.
A snow ravine. And so then the snowcat is driving down. This thing is old as fuck. You drive it with the 2 gears like this, the 2 brakes. And I shit you not, dude, the fucking brakes went out on this thing, and it went off of the side of the mountain and down a ravine, and we hit all these trees, and we finally hit a tree big enough to stop us. It's got a big flat nose on that tractor.
Yeah.
And it was so violent, and we fucking crashed this thing into another ravine, and nobody got hurt. And we, like, got out of the fucking tractor because the driver's like, "I think I smell gas. Is everybody okay?"
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we got out of the tractor and started, like, running up this other ravine to get away from this potential bomb, and, like, we ended up, snowmobiles came and got us. And I remember just, like, thinking, like, after surviving that, I just remember, like, I was just laughing. I was just laughing hysterically. And I remember they're, like, radioing to each other, like, "Yo, this kid's, he's losing it. He's losing it." And I wasn't losing it. I was just laughing, like, I cannot fucking believe this shit. I didn't have any other emotion.
Yeah.
And then we finally got rescued, and they got a helicopter, and they got Josh out, and it was in the paper. And and we were on the news.
Fuck,
and shit.
dude, that is
It was
wild.
insane. Yeah, I don't like the snow as very much after that. We took the kids to the snow yesterday, dude, and I'm just like having like flashbacks. I'm like, fuck this. I hate the snow.
Yeah, dude, that is fucked up.
I hate this. I hate the snow because I'm dumb. It's not the snow's fault. It's me.
Fair enough, man. Oh, dude. Alrighty, Dean, you gave us so many great questions. I can't make it through them all. You've got to get going. So I got one more for you. This is from me. As someone who is a legend in the BMX world that has pushed the limits and showed everyone what's possible, what's your advice to others who want to make just as big of an impact on BMX?
Just if you truly, truly love it, you'll do it, and don't let anybody like tell you got bad style or your bike sucks or, just be conscious of who your influencers are, who's influencing you, the way you ride. And just don't listen to anybody. And if you truly love it, you can really do some really awesome things. There are so many dudes out there that they may not have been in magazines or they may not be featured in like all the big, I guess nowadays, all the big websites, homepage or whatever. But you can get involved with traveling and the community, and you can still make a huge impact on all the people that love BMX just as much as you do. So, you may not be doing the biggest, best, most amazing trick that you can imagine, but you can still make a huge impact just by going out, riding your bike, traveling, being a cool person, being a good house guest when you stay with other people, being respectable, and and just have fun. And that's basically it. And if you do those things, you'll make an impact, and you'll have all the fun, and you'll be noticed, and people will know who you are.
Fuck yeah, dude. That is such a great answer. And I think, a lot of people will really appreciate that.
Yeah. It's just stick with it. 'Cause if you truly love it, don't get down on it. If you get hurt, get yourself better, learn from your mistakes, and just keep traveling and keep riding and keep having fun.
Chester, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, man, no problem. Thanks for hitting me up, like I said.
Absolutely. And, we didn't even cover like half these questions. So one of these days we'll get you back on here and we can go through the rest of Dean's. Thank you again, Dean. Yeah, but, until then, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Later.